go. And we are live. So we can continue that conversation. We weren't saying anything in the back room that can't be shared to the public because we don't roll like that around here. Unless you were a chick and we were going to, but 1-1 is not a girl. Welcome to the show, 1-1.
Hey guys.
Let's see. We're going to let this roll. I'm getting my YouTube stood up. There we go. Yeah, let's see if I was late. I may have been late by like a half a minute or something. I'm sure this twizzle twit in the audience will make a comment, but we'll let the place populate. So, yeah, I try to, like when I look at the PCA, if you were to take the transfer DNA out of the PCA, there's no judge in the world that would have granted an arrest warrant for Brian Koberger. Do you agree with that? 1-1 is at work, so he may have had to step aside for a minute. Oh, he dropped out. I did not boot him. He dropped out. But I have pinned the link so he's able to come back. And from Ireland. I'm English, Irish, and Italian. 1-1 oh, there he is. He came back.
Yeah,
Come back to us, 1-1.
I hit the wrong button.
That's okay. I forgot what I was even saying. I try not to theorize to who the conspirators are, much like Pav and all the other streams do, because it's anything will fit, and you can make reasonable arguments.
You're right. You're right. The theories can make you go crazy down the rabbit hole, and I agree. I've heard you say it like a bunch of times, either on Devil's Advocates or in your show. You have to look at what we have. You have to look at the evidence. That's what you got to look at.
Right, and you can't substitute it for your belief or your thought
Correct.
unless there's a piece of evidence that takes you down that road.
Right. Correct. And I'll say I know a lot of us, and me included. I'm not a big fan right now of Cy Ray, like wishy-washy, going 180 degrees, going this way, that way. But if it comes out in the future, if he actually has whatever cell phone ping evidence, something that shows, BK's phone in different, then that may change my opinion. But until we actually see that, like I'm not just gonna I'm not gonna go along with just trust me, bro. Trust me. No. I'm done. We're done with the trust me, bro crap.
I honestly think that he sounds like someone that's done something wrong, and he's trying to lay down cover.
Well, he did. You know what's hysterical? Just to bring this up real quick. Have you seen like most of the interviews with Cy Ray?
Yeah. I know he's having an issue with Harsh.
Like from the recent interviews that he did, I don't like the most recent ones, right? He went through. I think it was one where he was on Brian Enton and the Goncalves. Steve was there, I think, and Christie or whatever.
Yeah,
he went through and he said how when he was so he makes this whole big thing, right? His whole big premise, his whole big thing. He says, out of his mouth, out of his words, this is all about. Well, he's trying to basically portray that the ends don't justify the means. That he feels that he's saying that BK, at least he is one of the killers, or he is the killer, but the FBI and whatever they did with the phone data and all this other shit, they did stuff that they weren't supposed to do. And that's why he's like speaking out against them. However, in that interview with them, he talks about how when he was a cop and he did like all the like whatever undercover operations. I forget exactly what he said what he was, but he was some kind of undercover thing. And he talks about how like they couldn't get a warrant or something with a car, and they like did all the shady stuff. So you can't sit there and go by, well, the ends don't justify the means, but this is what you just said that this is what you did as a law enforcement officer. So what?
Yeah.
So again, he's like, he basically admitted that he did do the ends just, he went against his own statement. So when he makes this whole big stance, like, oh, all of a sudden Cy Ray is he's Mr. Integrity, the ends don't justify the means. He's full of shit. He's it's bullshit.
Well, let's welcome your partner to the stage, Lee from Devil's Advocate, a well-known producer and creator, or whatever you people call yourselves nowadays. It's good to have you here, there, Lee.
Yeah, not only thank you for inviting me, but thank you for allowing me, because it looks like you're set up to allow co-streaming, so I'm co-streaming to my side. However, I would like people to go on my side to watch his side and subscribe to his channel. His show needs to be a lot bigger, so please subscribe to his channel if you haven't done so, and thank you for the invite.
You do know, I'll say this for the listeners because there's some new people in here that I assume came from your show. I don't do this for any money, no donations. I don't have a membership set up because I don't want anybody to have to pay a nickel to hear what I have to say. What I have to say is an opinion, and like assholes, we all have opinions. And and so for that reason, I keep.
Except for mine doesn't stink.
Humbly to my yeah. You want to smell a little with me? I'll smell a little with you. That's how it is. But I'm just I'm a different person, and the way I view the world through some experiences, and I think I have the capacity to analyze and make things simple. One of my strongest powers is to take the complicated and make it simple. And sometimes, when you don't have all the information, you're not going to hit a home run. So, I do try to do that as best as I can.
Yeah,
we had a good
everybody
chat
on my show.
Well,
everybody loves you, man. You're great. Yeah, you're great.
I am on the spectrum. I do have Asperger's, and that may contribute to some of my black and white views in the world.
Yeah, but the comment that you just said is what investigators are supposed to do. You're supposed to you get whatever, you get such and such evidence, and where does it bring you? And then you evaluate it and you question it. And you're like, hey, this doesn't really make sense. This person did this or this person did that. And again, like we've said 1,000 times, you have to look at pattern of behavior. Behavior you can't escape from it. You cannot escape from it unless you're like you're some kind of like trained assassin where it just like you don't do the same. You just know how to like hide your behavior. Yeah, right. Well,
Wickham is one of them people.
Right. So you look at the pattern of behavior, and it's with everything, with the victims, with everything.
Look at the pattern of behavior we now know about Brian Koberger and his selfies. It wasn't a celebratory thumbs up, yay, I killed these kids.
No.
That was one of 3,500 selfies he sent to his family. How about the driving? Where now Cy Ray is saying a pattern of life. What do you want to bet that if you did a pattern of life from where the kid came from, he drove around over there too? How many dead bodies are in his path over there in Pennsylvania? None.
Right.
Yeah. Right? And he's going to come to an unknown place and all of a sudden be a mass murderer.
Right. And Sarge, I can't tell you how many jobs at work that I've responded to that are not homicides, that are just people fighting at a bar or domestic violence or whatever, or just people get into a dispute, okay? And people have all kinds of scratches, all kinds of marks, all kinds of stuff. There is no way, if you go by the evidence, right? We know Xana fought for her life, right? She has all these marks on her. I don't know about the other people, but the other victims, but Xana we know fought.
No, they all fought back. They all had defensive wounds to one extent.
Right, but I'm saying like Xana was extensive. Like they know that Xana was like standing. She was really fighting. So my big thing again, the barn, whatever the hell they're called, barnyards, whatever, the FBI couple that made this whole big analysis, and they're like, oh, look at BK with his thumbs up and showing all that. the big thing that showed me, I didn't care about that. I'm like, oh look, he's taking weird selfies. What was amazing to me? What was amazing to me about the photos that they showed, and from the Dateline link, where that they showed these photos of BK with his shirt off. He has barely any marks on him, barely anything. Oh, because he has a little Band-Aid on one finger. That no, not he would have had that. He would have had, yeah. Let me tell you, even if these victims didn't, even if they didn't fight as much as we know that they did, doing that amount of stabbings and like slashing and stabbings, he would have had all kinds of bruises on the bottom of his hand. You
got a guy that cut his hand off almost trying to separate frozen chicken. But then on the other hand, on the same night that happens, right? You got some guy wielding 154 stab wounds into 4 individuals and walks away without a scratch. Come on.
Right. How does that make sense? Right. And then it's just every little thing, they have some kind of thing to combat it. And Steve G is saying, well, we have a video of BK boxing and he threw 160 punches in 3 minutes or whatever. Okay, awesome. That's great. That's a lie. That's not someone. That's like
woo-woo.
Trying to fighting for their life. Yes.
Money Mayweather couldn't do that. Have you ever boxed? One. Lee, have you two ever boxed? Yeah. Put on the gloves. Go try to hold your arms up to protect your face for 3 minutes and tell me what your arms feel like when you're done. Just run around with your arms up in front of your face and tell me what happens after. Now try to throw 163 punches, even at a bag that's not fighting back. You won't be able to do it. As a matter of fact, by the time you get to about 70 or 80, your punches would be so ineffective the bag might slap you to tell you to go sit down.
Right.
Right? The bag will grow an arm and slap you. Go, stop wasting my time. Next. The whole story, the narrative, the whole case is built off a media narrative that was built by the people that were in charge of either
it's media narrative. It's media narrative, and everything that they put together is based off of Dylan's whatever you want to call it, interview or timeline of events. Everything is to match what Dylan says. And now
let's start with that though. Let's start the stream with that.
Now that all this stuff, like all this other stuff, is coming out, even the stupid White Elantra. I mean, we have a report from I think it was like November 15th. I remember the report number. Tisdale, his own freaking report there that was recorded saying that they were the white car, that they were the car that was going around.
That did a 3-point turn.
Right.
Here, let's start with this now. We're going to pick up a little bit from where I was in Lee's stream, but you made a statement that makes what I've been saying true when I say Dylan's involved, based on my opinion of the facts. And the fact of the matter is, the entire PCA makes her a party to the proceeding because it's false and it's in her name.
Yeah.
You see? So when you look at this and you look at the evidence and you find out the frozen shock face isn't true. You find out they didn't go to bed. That wasn't true. You find out the footprint belongs to a policeman or an investigator, not the perpetrator. So that wasn't true. Dylan becomes a party to the crime because of the cover-up of the crime or the tunnel vision and ignorance of the crime. But it seems rather shocking to me that anybody can run around and argue these kids had nothing to do with it. Well, whether they did have anything to do with the actual crime or not, they're the main characters in diverting people's attention from what happened that night, making them directly involved. Is that a fair statement, Lee?
And I know we did a bunch of, had a bunch of discussions, right, about Murphy and the diluted blood. You still, to me, what's still like a huge thing, which shows some kind of cleanup, is the footprints. Where are all the footprints? I don't want to hear that someone walked whatever flat-footed or whatever nonsense that Cy Ray said. It's
Lucy Mornings showed us there were 33 footprints found in the crime scene, all belonging to the investigators. Did you know that?
no, I didn't know that amount.
So I'm going to look. I'm going to look to find the document. These are handwritten notes by the investigators. These are actual case files. This isn't something that Lucy determined because of whatever. This is absolute evidence that they knew the footprint outside of Dylan's door did not belong to the crime scene. Yet they used it in the PCA to support her statement as a witness to what she saw. That footprint was said that showed the direction of the perpetrator traveling out towards the sliding glass door when Dylan witnessed him. But that footprint's not part of the crime.
Right.
So her statement, again, now Dylan is involved through no fault of her own, except for not speaking up and saying, that's not what I told these cops. Right?
Right.
Her involvement is witting or unwittingly at this point, but she's definitely unwittingly, if not wittingly, an accomplice to what was written in a probable cause affidavit to arrest a fellow American for a crime that the evidence doesn't convict,
right.
And it's well beyond reasonable doubt. Did we lose Lee? No, he's right there. Okay.
No, he's there. He's there.
I'm here.
He's there. And what I would love to see, and I don't know what the hell's going to happen now, right? Obviously, because of what Kohlberger is trying to do. We've gotten a lot of the defense stuff. We haven't gotten the states a lot of their info. Well, some, but not. We've got some, but not as much as the defense.
Their info is constrained to the closing argument of prosecutor Cracker Claus, Bill Thompson. Whatever he said in that hearing is what they're able to provide you.
Yeah. And,
right?
What's interesting too about that. We've spoken a few times about this. Is Lee was there. He was at that hearing.
You were.
He was at the hearing when BK. When he pled guilty. Yeah, Lee. He's right there. He's sitting there. Bill Thompson. Hitler. When Bill Thompson. When he stood up and he said, we can't place BK in the house. We can't, all this stuff that he stated. Hitler could have said, okay, well, I'm rejecting the plea. He could have rejected it just on that.
Not coulda. I think he's constitutionally bound to do so.
Yeah.
You see, I think what the public doesn't know about a judge is their primary task is to prevent government overreach. The Constitution limits the government. There are rules for the government, rules for thee, not me. We, the people, don't abide by the Constitution. The Constitution protects us from you. Okay? And when the prosecutor shows his hands are empty, the judge is supposed to stop the proceeding and call them guys in the back room and read them. What the fuck are you talking about, Claus boy? You got nothing on this guy? How's he sat in jail for 2.5 years? I mean, I've been listening to your motions and your arguments, and they contradict what you just said. What are we doing here today? You're right. He should have stopped the proceeding, and he should have ended it right there. That's his job. When the government admits they got no evidence against the defendant, and he's pleading guilty to it, then that statement alone by Bill Thompson shows a coercion. Because under what other pretense would the guy must have done it or he wouldn't have pled? Well, no, the guy must have sat in the cage for 2.5 years. Somebody must have leaked to the media days before the plea agreement, ruining his chance at any fight in trial. And his attorney got on board and said, "You're not going to win." Coercion.
Right, and now you kind of have round two of that going on with the Stephen Christie Hollywood tour going on every mainstream media podcast, Dr. Phil, this show, that show, this documentary, that documentary. It's again before any trial or anything even happens, so it's starting all over again.
I'll give them this little leeway, that if there was some federal involvement in something happening in that community, and that federal involvement can never be released but shows Kohlberger enter that home, I can understand the position of those two parents, if they're privy to that. However, the likelihood of that is so small right? That it's unlikely it's just complete. It's like when TikTok, that drip drop guy, Clown Circus, said someone parachuted onto the property, right? Yeah, someone came in through parachute. That's what happened. And they didn't get caught up
Yeah.
in any of the trees. They landed on the roof, and yeah. Anyway, I think the case has enough information that you can build reasonable doubt just by what they've shown us.
Oh yeah.
Forget the car. The DNA now, that was a question, but it's never been more questionable than now when you hear what Turvey is saying about it. Is
Yeah.
Turvey correct? I don't know.
Well, why? The thing is why would Turvey be willing to
That-
risk his
Terrible
whole everything?
question.
Why would he?
Terrible.
Why would he risk? Why would he risk
Terrible
everything?
question. One. Terrible
Why?
question from a law enforcement officer. Because
Okay.
everybody has motives. Everybody
Yeah,
has
well-
motives, and wait, and they're not yours,
Yeah, that's true.
right? And so
But
you
I don't
don't
think
know, and that isn't a fair question to defend what somebody does, in my opinion, ever.
No, but I don't think he would. I don't think he'd be willing to destroy his whole reputation. And what I mean is,
Destroy it with who?
like like he may like talking about the hair clump or whatever in Ethan's hand, and so I don't think it's made up.
That-
I think
that
it,
picture
I
was
think
leaked.
it exists.
That picture was leaked.
To who? We
That-
haven't seen it.
Yeah,
Where
it was.
was it leaked?
It was accidentally released. So was the hair along the wall and
Not the hair in
Yeah.
Ethan's hand. We
Yeah.
haven't seen that. When?
Not the hair in Ethan's hand.
Not the hair in Ethan's hand. Whitcomb has seen it, but we haven't.
That
We
picture
have
was
not-
accidentally produced and withdrawn.
I've never seen that. I've never seen the actual. I heard Wickham talk about it, and I heard Turvey talk about it.
The hair that was
'Cause
on the
we-
bed frame and the hair on the floor.
Well, the hair.
And I'm almost certain that
Yes.
that hair,
No.
the hair in his hand was a clump of hair. His hand wasn't fully closed, and it looked black to me in his hand. I saw a picture of Ethan's hand with hair in it. Listen, now maybe it was a dream. I don't think so, because then I've also been shared that picture was accidentally released and withdrawn.
Well, all the crime scene stuff that they had out, we got like immediately. So all the stuff that was like taken down, we got before it was taken down. But I've never seen that.
Okay.
So
All right, well,
I'm
well,
not.
he's
I'm not.
saying-
I'm not. Yeah,
let's go
I'm not
back to
saying that
let's
you
go
did.
back to what
Yeah,
you guys were
yeah.
consistently agreeing with. You're agreeing with it wasn't released, but that it's been talked about, and I'm happy to go
Yeah.
along. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. But
Yeah,
what
I'm
I'm
not going to
saying is,
argue
I
I'm
don't
right,
think.
you're wrong on it. That's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. I'm not. I don't think. Right. I don't think Turvey would be willing to risk his whole reputation on everything that he's
Well,
done
Turvey
over his
did
career.
Turvey did say that nothing I've discussed hasn't been released to the public. You
He
know he
did.
said that. You're thinking
did.
about it because you know he did say that,
he
didn't
did.
he? Yeah. I would like all the memory on this case, Lucy says, to
Yeah.
be withdrawn. Now, Lucy
Yeah.
Morningstar, the researcher that provided the documents to show 33 police footprints or investigative footprints in the property.
Right.
And she's there in the chat. She never comes up to the studio for whatever reason. But that's just that is. But I was looking to see if I still had them in my Google Drive, and I don't. But I wanted to show you those documents because they're quite insightful when you think all of a sudden there's police footprints everywhere, but no cleanup. Maybe they're talking about no cleanup because the cleanup that was done prior to their tracks being laid down, and the fact that their tracks were discoverable and nobody else's proves a cleanup, right?
Right. Well, again, the only thing you can do with some of that is to go back to some of the first responders that were there, at least from what we know, when they're on scene, and you look and see, do you see any footprints anywhere? Do you know?
No, but when they did look at the floor and they found 33 footprints.
Right.
Right? They never told us that, and now Lucy's produced the handwritten notes and documents that support that. My point is that floor had to have been cleaned for their footprints to stand out, 33 of them and nothing else.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right? You can't have it both ways. It wasn't clean
Right.
before you walked on it. Then how come your
Right.
prints stand out? Right?
Right. Right.
And we don't know if they're bloody footprints. We don't know what constitutes the prints that they were able to find for themselves. This is such a crazy case simply because, and it's not us, although we may all be crazy. I mean, we have to accept that there's a possibility we're the crazy ones, right? But
Yeah.
everything they did was crazy. Lee, it's your turn. You drinking a beer?
No, I'm cutting back on the vodka and cranberry juice, but I know I just try to be respectful for your. I mean, I talked a lot on my show, so I'm listening to you guys.
Well, no. You need to step in. So on his show earlier, before you got in, we were starting to withdraw things and look at the crime scene minus something, right? So if you minus Dylan or you minus the cast off coming from a potential dog, if you take the dog out and then try to explain the cast off, and that's kind of the road we set up when we were in your stream, right, Lee?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's funny because when you first mentioned, well, take the dog out of the equation, what does it show? I thought you were trying to lead me to another question. I'm like, I don't know what other answer there is other than the dog. What is the answer if it's not the dog? But
Right.
so yeah.
Some things you could pull Dylan out and all of her statements and still have the crime scene with all the same particulars in there. So if you take Bethany and Dylan and just throw them in the garbage, you're left with a crime scene now to look at as a standalone event. And does that mean that one person could have done it? And you still come back to the same answer? No.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I've said from the beginning, I don't know who did this, but I can tell you what didn't happen. It wasn't one guy in 16 or 14 or 18 or whatever, 8 minutes. That's not how it happened. So that part I'm convinced of. It wasn't one guy in like the 8 to 12 minutes they have him on. That's for certain. So I don't know what happened exactly, but it wasn't one guy.
They say that the car parked at 407 and change. Okay?
Yeah.
So then you got to give him a minute and a half to get to where he's got to go. So now we're at 409 and change.
Yeah.
Then he has to
Yep.
go upstairs
Yep.
and commit those crimes. Right? So
Yep.
we can then, at 409, we don't hear a bang until 417. So apparently he spent 6 minutes upstairs. But from 417, after you hear the crash where they allege he was chasing Zaina, what happened in Zaina's room took less than 3 minutes, maybe a minute and a half, because he had to still leave the home and get back to his car. The compression of time
Right.
is impossible here.
And I think the dog starts barking at 417. So
Right.
I don't know how he can be going out the back of the house and have the dogs bark. Because I think the dog barking, by the way, is the neighbor's dog behind the house. So again, you have a problem because the timeline doesn't make sense.
Right,
It never has.
and also like throwing it in there, if Murphy, like you guys were talking about earlier. So if someone put Murphy like outside on the balcony, and then did what they did inside, like dogs have, even though he's like a puppy or whatever, they know who their owner is and whatever. He's not going to start barking at all, nothing. While Kaylee and Maddie are being killed right inside, like he's right outside there. We don't hear a dog barking.
We don't. Earlier than that, which indicates because dogs.
Right.
Do you know what dogs are smelling when they start tracking a person? Do you know what they're smelling? The uniqueness to your transfer DNA. That's the scent
Your
they're following.
pheromones, right?
No. They're following the scent that's
No?
attached to your transfer DNA. You shed 5 billion skin cells a day, 5,000 a second.
Yeah.
What do you think a dog is smelling?
Yeah.
You think he's smelling? How could your pheromones stay in the wind? Within the wind? It's got to attach. That's why they stick their nose to the ground. Why is their nose going to the ground? Have you ever farted and it went to the floor? No.
I don't know.
No. Why do you think they're sticking their nose in the brush and they're looking for a scent down low? Why? That's where your transfer DNA ends up. It ends up falling out, landing on the ground behind you, and the dog picks up that scent. And the only reason I'm telling this crazy, insane story is that whoever entered the home, there was no disturbance to the dog. The dog must have recognized a familiar scent. Didn't set the dog off, but the activity set the dog off. Does that sound fair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a horrific crime. Well, on the upside to all of this,
Yeah.
what do you work, Lee, or are you retired?
I'm retired. Yeah.
Okay,
This is my work. This is my work now.
retired too. This is my work. It's been on and off. Well, I was strong for.
I
2.5
shouldn't.
years. Go ahead.
I'm a little, to be fair, I'm a little young to retire. Like I shouldn't be retired. A lot of people have worked longer in life than me, and I didn't. 56. So yeah,
I retired at 59.
I'm a little young. Nice.
That's awesome.
See, I should still be working.
I only kept working because I really wanted my workers to own the company. I owned a roofing business, and they put on all the roofs, and my reputation was built off of their backs. So I stayed around until they could become in a position where they could actually own the company and afford to pay for the company. So I stuck around for quite a few years just to make sure that I could do it that way. I didn't want to sell it out in the general public because I thought it would be better for the customers. And of course, the people that have been busting their ass for the last 15 years would be better for them too, right? So, it was worth it. And I didn't work. I worked 2 hours a day, 9 months a year, and I took the winters off. So I did that for 30 years. I just managed
What did Criminality TC said Lee needs to reply to my email. What email? I need to find his email.
Yeah,
anyways, somebody called me out for not responding to their email. I got to find their email.
Let me just go back in here. I just want to say nothing half-assed, Criminally TC, Lucy, Twizzle, Kiss Me, Where I Pee, what a name. Unbelievable name. Jenna.
Unbelievable name.
Unbelievable name. Suzanne, Linda. Then she shows pictures of herself that's like, yeah, I'll do that. Where are you? You look at her avatar. Yeah. Absolutely, honey. Right.
You sound like the Quentin Tarantino. I'll do that if you ask me. What?
Welcome, Jen. It's like, you got to be kidding me. What a name. Amanda. I just wanted to say hi to a few people.
I thought I was bad.
Sometimes I'm off color. Look at Heart of Gold. It's like, wow, I'm sorry, but I didn't make the name.
Dusk till dawn. Yeah, dusk till dawn. I'll do that if you ask me to. What are you talking about? What do you
got to do for the rest of your life? I'll kiss you where you pee if that's okay. Right? I mean.
Oh my God, it's definitely a Friday night. I can tell.
Dear Lord, what a world we live in. Yeah, that's why. Like, I was invited to someone else's show, and things went sideways. But I couldn't believe they invited
me. Jesus.
You're like, what a mistake you made. You invited me. I'm going to ruin your show.
What would you do that for? Well, I'm not, I'm one of them guys, I don't know. I'm fucked up. But I'm happy with myself, so I don't care. Right? Oh, my God.
That's funny.
Oh, what a world.
Funny shit.
So, now she's saying she's a real boy. And that's not the images you sent me on Discord. I got those painted up over my... I got them blown up on my bedroom ceiling. Oh my God! I wake up and look right at her. Oh my God!
And shit, it's a Friday night.
And yeah, talk about Friday night fuckery. I'm like this every day. I take a nap to get away from myself. I got friends that, why do you take a nap? I said, if you were me, you'd understand. Because I get my teeth into something, and once my teeth are in, they're there. I'm hanging on. I'm a pit bull. You ain't getting me off.
Yeah.
And now, I asked you earlier, your honest opinion, if you took out the DNA, right, which they didn't even represent correctly as transfer DNA, which I think is something that should have been disclosed to the court before they applied for that warrant.
Right.
And by calling it DNA, you're making it appear to be, in other words, that's how somebody cons somebody. They make a statement that allows you to interpret it in the most common way. And I think that should never be presented to a court to sign off on. And I think a court should be pissed off if you do that to them. What do you think? You're in law enforcement, I guess, so. Would you put stuff like that in the warrant that isn't fully descriptive? Would you make statements that your experience, or how about if you exonerate the guy and say that you couldn't find him for 2 hours, right? I mean, how much more exoneration do you need to give the guy you're applying for a warrant? If you can't find him for 2 hours, then why is the judge signing a warrant that you said he did it or could have done it? I can never wrap my head around that PCA. It's beyond comprehension for me. One dropped.
Oh no! What happened?
Well,
He must. Well, he did say he was on a break, so maybe he was a little past his break.
I'd like
time.
to have a job at a break like that. How about you, Lee? We go back to work, wouldn't we?
I know that. I was thinking that. There he is. He's back. He's back.
Yeah. I put him back up there.
Big old Biddies. Big old Biddies 89.
In that warrant, is that warrant, in your opinion, a comprehensive warrant that an American citizen should have been used to arrest and take the freedom away from this kid?
No, absolutely not. I mean, that whole thing is filled with garbage. All of it.
Yeah, that's what got me involved.
It's all filled with garbage, and you sign. You have to sign your name on that. That you're attesting that it's true and all that, and
how about when he gets up? How about when Ann Taylor questions him and he tells her the PCA is the data that I reached that other officers were given to me, and I put it in the PCA. Why aren't there signatures on Why aren't there signatures on the warrant with yours then?
Yeah. Right.
Am I wrong in that, or?
No, you're right, and a bunch of this stuff, Ann Taylor was onto some of this stuff. She knew that she had pain. You could see it there in the transcript in the hearing. She knew that they knew BK's name earlier than than they were saying that they had it. So
yeah. Where'd they get his name? And I
hey,
think
look
no.
I was just going to say, I see Kathy's Indozone dropped in here, so I was just saying hi to one of our regular drop-ins on our show.
Yeah, I sent her a StreamYard link if she wants to jump up. So long as she could say 2022. She sounds like a bot.
What's wrong with 20?
She doesn't say 2026.
2020.
Right, she sounds like an AI. She sounds like she should be the voice for Claude or something. All right, she's in here. Don't make fun of her. Be quiet. What's up, Katie?
Good Friday. May I please have an MPD or the Keystone Cops?
Yes, the Keystone Cops 2022.
From 5 years, I've enjoyed you saying that. I'm over here. I had to get away from the Idaho 4 case to go over to the appellate situation in Delphi. And I find out that 3 of my favorite people are on, speaking of Idaho 4, so I've been pulled back in again.
Oh.
Favorites, guys.
Well, what?
Oh, man, I'm curious what you found out about the appellate thing, because I'm following that for sure.
Well, what's going on right now is it's been very quiet for the past several months because Mr. Allen, as you know, it's a full-blown appeal. This is very different from the Koberger situation because he immediately, within the time frame, he filed for an appeal of everything from soup to nuts that would be considered reversible error that Judge Gull, that the jury did. So, but it's been kind of like a slow process because both sides in filing their briefings asked for extensions of time. The briefings were closed in the spring. I think it was April, but what Alan did is he asked for oral argument. And the Indiana Appellate Court, the 3-judge panel, has scheduled it for, I think it's 1 month from today. What is today?
September 21st.
Yes, September 21st.
Right. At 8/22, I was saying it should be the date.
Yeah, it's a month from now. 10 in the morning. If anyone wants to go, there's going to be a few seats available before the 3-judge panel, and then they're going to telecast it. I guess they're going to have a screen for any people that can't get into the courtroom, but it's also going to be transmitted for people like myself who will be watching it from the comfort of my home. or wherever I might be on the 21st. But this will be interesting because just like any other appeal, whenever there's questions, like we did with Hunter, Lee, you'll recall when Hunter went before the Supreme Court and we listened in on it, the questions that the various justices had sort of gave kernels of nuggets of information as to how they were going to and how they did rule. So I'm very curious to see how this panel is going to query the Indiana attorneys and also Mr. Allen's attorneys. Again, it's September 21st at 10 a.m. I literally, I was working on my my 3-minute presentation on it when I heard Sarge Friday and Yuli and Wan speaking, so I had to put it aside and run over here.
Well, there you go.
You said September. I thought it was August 21st. So it is September 20.
It is 1 month. You're right. Yeah, because tomorrow is Saturday. No, it's the 21st of September, 10 a.m. I'm going to put out. I'll have it up a little bit later on with the link and everything.
Could Brian
go out there? Anybody
okay,
going out?
What? Oh yeah, I've got it up on the calendar already. Oral arguments for Richard Allen on the 21st, I got 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
That's your time.
So would Brian have had the same opportunity to do that had he filed as a plea in 42 days?
100%.
Yes.
Friday. That's why I'm
wondering
wondering.
what held him back. Him back.
It's to be seen. Maybe he did think he was going to appeal. Maybe the story is, and again, this is pure speculation, commentary on everyone's part here under the First Amendment. Maybe he thought that he was doing an Alford plea to give them time to file the appeal to the upper court, and that's why I was wondering why he wasn't at that November hearing, the only hearing he never was at, to possibly prevent him from saying, "Hey, Judge, what's going on with my appeal?" So pure speculation. We're going to find out pretty soon here when they file the amended petition.
Okay. Well, that's a good update. I mean, I'm interested in that, as well as the Long Island case, the Scott Peterson case that's come back. I don't know what that is. That guy, he was, I think people are so judgmental. How many men have cheated on their wives, and why is that the only reason needed to go and trash a guy for being she was pregnant? Well, okay, she was pregnant, so he did an asshole thing, but does that make him the killer? And so the same thing they did with Kohlberger. Everything about Brian Kohlberger. If you were to take a list of Brian Kohlberger from prior to these crimes and review it, you would have what you would think to be a fair-minded, hard-working, and intelligent American citizen looking to better himself through school. That's what you start with this case. Not someone like me that's got a background in crime 30 years ago. This kid never committed a crime as far as we know in his life. I'm just stunned that he's never gotten any, and neither did Scott Peterson. Right away he was what the worst guy in the world. Well, how many women's husbands cheated on them? They just don't know about it yet. And I'm not trying to defend it. You shouldn't do that, okay? I never cheated on my wife or any girlfriend. If it was done, it was done. I moved on. I didn't cheat on them and play anyway. So I think it's a bad behavior, but they demolished that guy just like they demolished Kohlberger. It's shocking. And the public then all of a sudden, based on this background of, he did criminology so he could be a killer. The easiest way to be a killer is get a gun and start shooting people. You don't need to spend fucking years and years and years in college, right? College-educated killers are no better off than uneducated killers, right? They all usually get caught. Yikes. I think that this whole thing with allowing the media to get involved, and then the leaks from the prosecution that are just so damning to the defendant, not because it's evidence of guilt, but because it's a personality destruction. I don't know how that gets stopped, but that needs to stop in any of these cases. What do you think his chances are there with the Allen guy there, Kath?
Who, me?
Yeah, what do you think Allen's his chances are going to be?
It's hard to set aside a jury verdict. You research cases, it's hard to set aside a jury verdict, But with that said, I'm trying to do some research on this particular 3-judge panel because they identified the names of who the 3 were. In an appeal, you have 3, it's a panel. It's not like Judge Gull, who's the trier of the law, or Judge Stephen Hippler, who is the trier of the law. It's a 3-judge panel. So I've set aside this weekend to do some research to see how they've ruled, if they've ever set aside a jury verdict, for example. But then there were a number of points that he raised on appeal. What they do is you raise an objection. Like he wanted a Franks hearing for this, what's his name, Liggett, the warrant affidavit. He wanted a Franks hearing, and she denied it. So in the alternative, what he's asking for is, three-judge panel, if you don't set aside the convictions, I would like you to remand to state court so that we can do a Franks hearing on this warrant affidavit, which they just point after point after point after point of error. She denied the Franks hearing. And the other thing is, let's just say they do remand for this Franks hearing. Gull's probably not going to be the judge because she's retiring at the end of the year. You know, the oral argument is the 21st of September. Then they got to convene. They probably have an idea of how they're ruling anyway, but it'll take a couple of months, I'm predicting, before their orders, if they're going to affirm, if they're going to reverse, or if they're going to give him the Franks hearing. And then it gets remanded. They don't do the Franks hearing. The appellate court's got to go back down, and it might not be Gull again. You might get a different flavor depending on who the trial court would be.
Yeah, it's a big process.
We lost one again.
Where'd Juan go?
Where'd one go?
He just bailed.
You should name your cat or something. 1-1. It's kind of a good name.
So you guys were talking. You were talking the crime scene in Coburger, and I want to ask you again. I mean, I was really thinking about what you both were saying because I listened in a little bit too. I played rewind a little bit of your show, Lee. While I'm going through my 3 hours of edits over here. And I caught the part where the dilution was possibly the dog.
Yeah.
Okay. So Sergeant Friday, is that your opinion as well?
Well, my opinion is the diluted cast off, it was diluted as it was cast. It was cast off as a diluted substance. It didn't get diluted once it hit the wall. Because when you look at the trail of the movement of the blood, there's no wiping, there's nothing, no fluid rinsing it off. It's diluted when it hits the surface. So you have to explain that. And it's in 20 plus different areas, and it's all Kaylee and Maddie's. So how can you explain cast off in very strange places? On 1, 2, 3, 4 walls, and then a table. How can that come from the perpetrator? They're not like cast off. If I get my hand wet and fling my hand forward, there's going to be a trail pattern of cast off, and that doesn't exist in any of these blood samples. There are individual spots that are separated in some cases by several feet, but not in a consistent pattern. So how do you do that? And it was Miss Potts that pointed out it's possible that the dog shook. A dog that was cleaned shook, whether it be a part of the dog or the whole dog, and that really kind of fills in a plausible explanation for diluted cast off.
It's a lot more than saliva from Xana, isn't it?
Well, if it were saliva, you would have 3 DNA samples, and we know that because they can determine a primary Kaylee, minor Maddie. If it was saliva, you would then have minor Xana. You see no cast off mixed between Maddie and Kaylee with anything from Ethan or Xana. They're clearly 2 different crime scenes. And most of the blood that you see from Xana and Ethan aren't diluted cast off. They're blood smears or blood drops. They're singular. They're not diluted. So that would then reinforce even further the potential of the dog never went in that room. We could wrap our head around that, but you can't wrap your head around the dog never going in the room upstairs.
The room upstairs would seem, I don't know, to me a logical thing. Let's just say he was kept out in the balcony when the crimes were, or he was just locked in his room. They shut the door. Once the perpetrators, or whatever, when the doors open at some point, he goes into Kaylee and Madison's room. There wasn't a ton of red DNA on the floor like there was in Xana's room. If you would have walked in that DNA in Xana's room, there'd be paw prints.
He had to jump up on the bed?
He could
Or
jump
he'd had
rope.
to been. What if he was in there while the crime was occurring?
He could have been too. He could have been too. But
I
so what I don't get, Lee, and I'd like you to bear in because we've had conversations. I don't get what Sergeant Gunderson. He submitted an affidavit in the EWU media case that indicated he's got something like 15 years of law enforcement experience. All right, he's not a newbie. He's not one of these that, okay, he got hired and then he was promoted to sergeant within a year and he worked elsewhere before he moved over to the MPD. What is he doing? What was it? It was like 12:15, 12:20. At the same time, the calls placed to ISP because it was 12:22. We know that. We got it from ISP Talbot's report. It's page 1, first document of the ISP documents. What's Gunderson doing getting that dog out of there without at least running it past ISP?
Yeah. Yeah.
it makes no sense.
Yeah.
You walked in, you saw the World War III within this off-campus house, just a few steps away from the University of Idaho campus. You see that there's two people that are alive outside, and there's a dog that's alive that might have DNA on him. That the killers might have petted or whatever and had gotten cut and had transferred that you can't see from the eye. Why do you, without checking with, or maybe he did, I don't know, maybe he spoke, I can't believe ISP would have been so silly to have not said, okay, at least bag the dog's paw. Juan one time said he would have, or they would have bagged the dog's paws. They would have done something to protect the dog, even if they were going to get out there, so that it would be preserved for when ISP could come in and do some processing. You get the dog out so the dog's not in the house, and you lock down the house. But then they proceed, they bring him out, walk him through the streets, way down the street. It's not even they put him in a car right away. No, they're going to walk him down the street. With every step, any evidence that was on his paws being, going away. And then they bring him down to the pound and he's there for a few. Did they wash him there? Did they put the flea, whatever? And then
right.
Rosenthal with no body cam on? That whole situation's so sus to me.
And Lucy brought documents in last night that showed us there were 33 footprints found on those floors, all belonging to the investigators, including the footprint outside of Dylan's door. How you like them apples?
I did. I did. And I want to
Oh, you were here, I think. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I know, I did. And then somebody here in chat is saying, where was Ragnar, Suzanne? That's what I'd like to know. It was like no dogs allowed in this place. Remember Phil Collins, No Jackets Allowed, that album that he made in the 80s? Oh, no dogs allowed in 1122. They're not letting Ragnar in. They're getting rid of Murphy. It's like, what is this?
That dog doesn't shed. It's never too late. That dog is a poodle type breed that's hypoallergenic and it has human hair. Its hair is closer to yours and mine than it is any dog species in the world. So that dog does not do what you're asking. So no, there would be no hair expected in any cast off from the dog. But again, if it was his tail, if it was his paws, if it was his muzzle, and they washed him and he got wet, here's the thing. I think that provides an argument, and we might want to start writing stuff like this down. Reasonable doubt that the diluted cast-off came from a human being. Puts the dog in the middle of the crime scene. They didn't check the drains. It's never too late. Yeah, they didn't take the bathtub traps out. They didn't take the sink and the kitchen sink, bathroom sinks traps out. They didn't do any of that. They didn't even.
And then they tore the house down.
Yeah, they tore the house down.
What more suspect? That number one. There's two things, at least in my experience, having done this podcast for as long as I have, that even people that don't know anything about the case, number one, they're concerned about the 8-hour gap. Number two, what Lee just said, the knocking down of the crime scene even before the trial.
It's an absolute
Number
tragedy.
one evidence in the case, that house.
The real tragedy here is to the public, because this really exposes just how incapable the people we trust to protect us are. One is excluded from that point.
No, Juan Juan is I wish law enforcement were like Juan Juan. You know, he's ethical. Look at the conversations we've had over time. You know, I had thought very suspect of Rosenthal to be taking a photograph of Kaylee's identification, and he explained, well, you know, that's something that would be done. And I said, okay, well, if Juan Juan says it, that makes sense to me, the way that he explained it. Until that point, I had thought that that was extremely sus of Rosenthal to be taking her photograph.
The comment in the room is that it's not human hair. What the fuck? I do hair, dog hair. Well, listen, Mrs. What the fuck? There are breeds of dogs, including golden doodles, poodles, and others that are hypoallergenic, and their hair resembles the human hair, more so closely than it does a common dog hair. Okay, and that if you haven't been exposed to them kinds of dogs, and maybe you've only cut dog hair for a couple of days, but it is a known truth. The hypoallergenic dogs have hair that's more consistent with a human type hair than a dog hair.
No,
Okay.
it just, I will never in a million years understand why he took it out unless he wanted to get evidence out. And again, this is 100%, pure speculation. I don't know anything more than anyone else does. I look at the documents, try to come up with some type of reasonable explanation. But for me, for an experienced law enforcement official who was the highest ranking person at that time, until you had Dallinger and Lanier show up, oh, let's take the dog out. I don't know. I don't know why he did that. Who knows what could have been found on that dog if ISP had processed it. But another thing too is what a lot of people think is that ISP makes the determination of what their lab will process. That is completely false. The MPD is the client. The ISP will come in and preserve the crime scene. They'll preserve the sheet. They'll mark the sheet. They'll take the photographs. They'll swab the stains. But they don't decide what gets tested. It's the MPD who decides what gets tested. And they did every single thing that ISP Labs ever tested. It was at the request of the Moscow Police Department, and Blacker was on every single one of those requests. So if something wasn't tested, it was because the Moscow Police Department did not ask for it to be tested.
They intentionally, it appears like, not to have asked it. But I don't think, this is where I still have this supposed idea that because these things are so compartmentalized, it wasn't up to Payne to decide what gets tested or doesn't. Right? And I think this is where when we start pointing at corruption and a cover-up, that we impugn and include so many people that they themselves have no more understanding of what truly happened that night, even though they were on this team to investigate. They were each given their own task. And I think that happens a lot in investigations, where you end up doing, like I said to one the other earlier, policemen are given orders and tasks to do, but it's not the whole case. Payne didn't investigate everything. Look at the PCA was even in his own words.
Well, the thing is, I'm not going to give him a pass because he signed it under penalty of perjury. Hey,
well, you got to read that to my knowledge and belief.
Look, the last page, under penalty of perjury, based on what came before. I'm asking for a warrant for Brian Kohberger's arrest, and that's his signature under penalty of perjury. But I'm going to say, I think that Payne might have been just a figurehead there, that they intentionally kept him out of a lot, because none of the documents that was exchanged between ISP, MPD, and Thompson at the Latah County Sheriff's Department, at the Latah County Prosecutor's Office, included Payne. There were meetings where Payne wasn't even copied on anything. Lee, do you remember when we went over the documentation regarding Payne, and he was talking to, and at one point he asked to speak with the two cops from WSULE, on the 19th, 20th.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so those
Yeah.
those tips came in way before.
Oh.
Those tips came in the end of November, but it just appeared to me that he's just finding out about it then. And so maybe when he got up on the
Yeah.
stand, he did truthfully say the time that the name of Brian Koberger came to my radar was the 19th, the evening of the 19th. Not to say that anyone else's didn't have information regarding Koberger, because we know the two calls were placed by WSULE. We know for sure there's documentation from the ISP forensics lab that has Brian Koberger's name on the 5th of December 2022, and that stupid and ridiculous, in my opinion, excuse that ISP made in saying, "Oh well, that was an error on Adobe or whatever." It's like, come on.
I think Payne was
Right.
used for that warrant for two good reasons. One, he was new, and the judge would give him somewhat of a pass. And two, he may have been the only one that was never Brady'd, right? He didn't have any record of lying or being an untrustworthy witness.
Right.
Because he was new. He hadn't had the time to do it yet. His first case was just
Yeah.
coming up to do it in.
Good point.
I was going to say, yeah, it's not that he's squeaky clean. He just had enough time. Yeah.
Listen, that dog. We don't know the dog sat for 8 hours, and the cleanup didn't take place. If there was any cleanup taking place at all there, Miss Kane, it didn't happen at 11:15, right? So if the dog had any blood on it, and after the murders were completed at 4:20 a.m., as they state, they had 8 hours to clean the dog. The dog, if it were clean, with moisture on it, would have shooken. I mean, the blood splatter was on the walls for the full 8 hours, right? So and the other person in here saying that about dogs, I cut dogs' hair. Dogs have hair. There's a number of breeds that have hair, and then most commonly dogs have fur. So just so if you're cutting hair, realize you're cutting fur. Okay? Some dogs have hair. That's why I made the comment. Their hair is more similar to ours than it is dogs because it's not fur. Anyway, sorry for that.
No, it's all right. So it's just, this case just continues to be a quandary on top of a conundrum on top of Koberger himself, he said that the PCA is a work of fiction, and their entire case is a work of fiction. It needs to be fettered out. It needs to be in a public courtroom, and that's where the truth will come out.
I think that PCA should set him free.
Look at how much they tried to get away from the PCA. Look at when Thompson, does everyone recall when Thompson had stated the PCA is irrelevant? He said that because they got the indictment. But they wouldn't have gotten the indictment if
without the PCA
wasn't filed, got the warrant, and everything else that happened over the next few months.
Everything you need to know about that case is in the PCA, and that's going to be released shortly. Share it around to your friends, right? Put billboards up at his PCA, this phony, fictitious fucking piece of toilet paper with a 22-pound fucking rating from the letter paper industry.
No, it's the foundation for everything, Sergeant. So for anyone to say that it's irrelevant or, because you wouldn't have gotten, the only reason why you got the indictment is because the PCA was given to the judge. The judge found probable cause based on the PCA, and then
based on DNA.
It was it. That's the start of everything. That's the foundation.
Without the talk of DNA, that wasn't a PCA at all. That would never have been brought to a judge. What was in that document prior to without them adding the DNA, right? There's no way a judge would have signed that without them stating they had DNA of the suspect at the crime scene on a sheath. If that were not in the PCA, there never would have been an issuance of a warrant.
Right.
And now we know
what were they going to get on phone pings and hazy photographs of images of a car? You don't see Koberger in that car. You don't see a license tag number. You can't even make out that it's certainly a.
What about a dent or a different kind of a rim, or a parking lot sticker for a place that have we ever really seen his car? I don't think we have actually seen his car.
Well, no, we have. We've seen it when he got stopped by the WSU.
But we never.
When he got the ticket for being, or he was going to, I don't know if he gave.
Don't you get parking lot stickers on your car when you go to these campuses and park?
Oh, you have to have one.
Well, where were his? We never looked. In other words, we never really got was it on the back corner of the window, the passengers? We don't know.
Well, you know what, Sarge? Where you
What?
could see it is in the Indiana stops. Now that I think of it, because the cop stopped his car,
That's something we should
and he
review.
had
Let's
he
make
had the
notes.
camera on from, and he's approaching the car from behind. So it would be good to go back and see if you see a
Yeah.
WSU sticker there.
Yeah, I mean, there should be some. In other words, in order to tie any vehicle to any American, you have to have a uniqueness to the vehicle. It could be a dent, it could be a scratch, it could be a broken mirror, it could be anything that would uniquely identify your vehicle. Now, that's just how it is. Maybe there was like with my pickup truck. There's thousands of white pickup trucks, so there's no damage to my vehicle. So maybe you couldn't identify it from anyone else. But I'll tell you what, I've had in the back of my truck for quite some time cardboard that I need to discard of. And so if I'd have committed any crime during that period of time, the cardboard would be unique to that truck,
Right.
right? And that,
Right.
so that's what I mean. You need specificity in a warrant. You just can't say the criminal was black and this guy is black, which is basically what they did here. But they snuck in the transfer DNA by calling it DNA.
Right, and that's why he said, that's what got me.
Thank you, Swift.
When I read his pro se petition for post conviction relief and his statement, the first and only statement he's ever made, the one that he gave to the New York Times that's been made public, when he said, "I am not afraid of the DP. Bring it on. I want a trial. I've been saying I was talked into. I was coerced. This was not my intention to ever plead guilty." And who knows if he thought maybe was it you who said that you thought you might have even put that thought out there? Maybe he thought he was doing an Alfred plate.
I did. I said that right early on. Maybe he thought this was an Alfred plate.
And didn't Mr. G say, "Oh, we wouldn't agree to an Alfred plate"? So
But
maybe
Mr. G said he was never consulted.
Right. So maybe he thinks it's an Alfred plea. Maybe he thinks they're going to appeal. He's sitting back. He's waiting for an appeal. It's not happening.
I think if Turvey is giving us, if Turvey's information is accurate, then the defense leaked to the media. And that right there automatically gets him the argument.
That
automatically gets him the argument to withdraw his plea.
That
Because that's coercion. That's coercion of its highest form. You can't be more coercive than that. Right? How much more coercive can you get than that?
Let me ask you this, Sarge. It's been what, 15 months? What was it? May 15th is when everything blew up at the final pretrial conference, and Judge Hippler held up the two orders. Okay, I'm sending both of you a document hold order, and he said in paragraph 1 of the one that went to the state that he believed that the leak came from law enforcement, either
Right.
current or former, or from the prosecution side.
Right.
He never said it was from the defense side, but he said there are certain people involved who are former law enforcement who
But
were
it's
from
Turvey.
the defense
Turvey
side.
Turvey said it, and now Cy Ray is trying to blame Turvey. So now you have two of the people that were on the defense team playing patty cake with the leak, and that connects it to the defense. No matter who's right in this situation, doesn't matter. But if the defense leaked that to the press, then oh boy, talk about inadequate fucking defense.
That's the Sixth Amendment, right? I mean, it's like, well, let me ask you this, Sergeant Friday. It's been what, 15 months now? More than the final pretrial
I try not
conference?
to. I'd be ashamed of myself for the investment I've made here.
It's been 15 months since that final pretrial conference, and since the motion was put into play about investigating where this leak came from, which Judge Hippler vowed he was going to get to the bottom of, because this is not just a leak; it is a violation of a court order that he was always brought up, that non-dissemination order. He loved that non-dissemination order. It is contempt of court, and it's messing with someone's due process privileges in one of the biggest cases around. 15 months later, and they don't have a clue as to who did it. And if they do know who did it, why aren't they announcing who did it?
They sealed it before the plea deal, just before the plea deal. They sealed.
Everything was sealed.
Listen to what Turvey is saying about that. And I think Cy Ray is the leaker. I thought that the first instant he came into a public arena to talk about this case. My first thought was, Not whether what he's saying is true or false, but what motive does he have to do this 180 and start kissing the ass of Steve while at the same time telling Steve that there's no hope that ever show the kid was at the house on that day?
Let me, and I'll add to your theory there. Within, what was it, a day that Turvey spoke out, that the big, letter that went to Turvey, signed by all three members of defense counsel, admonishing Turvey, came out. All right, it was all three members of the defense, who two of them had just gone and done this big presentation for defense lawyers on the Kohberger case, two of them, Massoff and Taylor. But yet, when Turvey then comes out, the gag order's now lifted, they rip him another one. Turvey never turned on his own client and said that Kohberger was guilty. Turvey doesn't know who did it, but that's what his public statement, at least from what I understand.
Why was the defense trying to defend themselves from their own defense fucking coworker?
Well, I would like to take it a step further. Why, after Cy Ray goes around, does the interview with the custody queens, now goes on a tour, it makes himself, very close to Steve G, and does, where's the admonishment of Cy Ray from Ann Taylor, from Becca Barlow, and from Massoff, like they did with Turvey?
I say that it's obvious to me that Cy Ray's relationship with Ann and that defense team was inappropriate.
100%. He just seems as though, at least to me, he had access to a heck of a lot more information than he should have had. He was hired to do a specific job. Now all of a sudden he's going to also be part of the alibi defense.
I disagree with his statement. Look at Lucy. He's out there doing the most to make sure that the evidence gets that.
No, I don't agree, Lucy. No, you don't go against your client and do that. You don't.
It's not you go against your client. If that's what you're trying to do, then that's what you come out and talk about.
Nobody would ever speak with an attorney. Nobody would ever speak. The reason why there's an attorney-client privilege is to ensure that people can speak freely to their attorneys and that it's never going to go out.
Let's forget the attorney-client privilege. It doesn't apply to what he's doing.
Well, right, but I mean, they brought him in. So that's
but listen, look at what she's saying. He's out there doing the mace to make sure the evidence gets that forensic review. Then why isn't he out there keeping his mouth shut about what the review would show?
Right.
And telling the public that there's information the FBI and the MPD ignored, and that information is important to understand this crime and who did it. Rather than coming out and jumping out that Kohberger did it, I can prove you. That guy needs a hard slap. I'm going to sick Chris Wickham on him. Chris Wickham will snap that fat bastard in half.
Oh no! Don't even worry about it.
Really? What do you think, Lee?
If Kohberger gets this evidentiary hearing, which he should get this evidentiary hearing, you're going to see a subpoena 100% for Cy Ray to possibly get on the stand and give testimony. And Cy Ray has been afraid that Judge Hippler is going to have him arrested.
The defense can't call, or the prosecution can't use him. Anything he's talking about now is no good because the Kohberger would use to show what an inept loser he is.
Right, but I mean, you think he's going to get hired by anyone else again? Who's going to hire somebody?
That guy don't need the money anyway.
You give them access to confidential information, and then they jump ship.
Yeah, no, I think
hire him to be your expert.
I think the fact at first we made a big deal about Cy Ray was the first time ever in his career he's come out on behalf of the defense. And I used to talk about that being a big deal, but now it all of a sudden makes sense. He was never on the defense's side. He was a law enforcement officer who got put on the defense side to sabotage the defense's case from the inside. That's what I now believe. It wasn't a special thing that for the first time in his career he came out to defend somebody because he so much believes in the cause. No, he was planted there by law enforcement. He refers to himself as law enforcement. He's always said he's law enforcement. He went into that defense team I think, to sabotage that side from the inside. And they were dumb enough to hire him or bring him on as a defense witness when he was always law enforcement, and it always has been law enforcement. So now I'm convinced it wasn't something that he just so believed in. He always believed in Kohberger's guilt, and he got himself hired by the defense. And he went, well, if you're dumb enough to fucking bring me on, I got an inside track on the defense team, and he sabotaged it.
And that's why he didn't take pay.
Yeah, because he was working with law enforcement from the very beginning, and he got himself placed on the defense's team. He was a law enforcement guy, got placed on the defense's team, and
Wasn't it Vic
sabotaged it.
Barlow that recommended or somebody? Wasn't he recommended by another person on the defense team?
I think he said he knew Becca Barlow personally, yeah, but I don't know if she helped.
It
She was
Barlow
instrumental.
who recommended him.
What? Who was it?
It was. No, you're right, Sarge Friday. He was recommended by apparently somebody, one of the other experts had consulted him, but it was Becca Barlow.
What are his emails to Harsh? Do we know what he said to Harsh in the email?
Yeah, he's doubling down. He said because Harsh was calling him out on why his 180, and Cy Ray says, I now have seen more information, and it's even worse than you think. I can put he's doubling down on the evidence against Kohberger is ridiculously more powerful than I ever thought. So he's when called out on why you went double, he's like, well, I didn't have all the information, but now that I have it, yeah, clearly Kohberger is guilty.
Well,
and so he's doubling down.
Why did he withdraw from the case? Even if let's give him the benefit of the doubt, Lee. But although I believe, I'm really believing what you think, that this was from the beginning. He got himself involved in the biggest case in the world so that he could have a national, international platform and possibly sabotage the case. But the thing about it is that what expert ever in the history of jurisprudence in the United States have you ever seen jump ship like this? It's because it's not done. It's not done. The minute that if he had any true intention, if he was honorable, that he wanted to help the other side, but then all of a sudden he found, oh God, this guy's guilty. I can't be his partial alibi.
Wait a minute. Wasn't he brought in by an FBI agent?
He stayed on the case till the end. And then when the plea deal was made, who does he call? He calls the FBI because he wanted to get work with them. And they laughed at him. So then he goes to the local people. He needs to be.
Wasn't he brought in? Wait a minute. We have to correct something. He wasn't brought in by Becca Barlow. Right. He was brought in by law enforcement, some connection to law enforcement.
It was one of the other experts supposedly went to him. Okay. And then from then on, he got on the defense team and had access to all of this information.
Heather says he was brought on by the other phone specialist.
What didn't I say that, Heather? That it was another expert who went to him, and that's how he got on.
It was Slavinsky.
Yeah.
What Twix said. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Twist. Thank you. Yeah.
But bottom line, I think that I called him out 2 years ago when everybody was kissing his butt. Everybody was kissing his butt. Saint Cy Ray, he's going to come in. And it still concerns me that people are still, because what he did was at the very least unethical. If you're going to bring
he got an inside track into a case, he should never have been involved with this guy.
Exactly.
He was always going to be the fucking nut in the gears.
Yeah, and I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I was one of the people when everybody was talking about Cy Ray was the savior of the universe. I said, be careful. Cy Ray's never said BK wasn't guilty. All he said was the evidence that they're showing on their slides and stuff like that aren't the full story. And I know it's not because I know how it works. He never said BK was innocent or what. And I told people to be careful.
He did say with the information he had, it was exculpatory to Brian Kohberger.
Right.
Yeah.
But that could change. That could change with further discovery.
Well, that's what every expert says when you get more in. But the thing is, he was part of the alibi defense. It was him. He was part of the. So this meant that he was going to get up in front of the jury and try to persuade the jury that it couldn't be Mr. Koberger because he was somewhere else. That's what an alibi defense is. And he didn't at that point he didn't withdraw. He was prepared to go on stand and try and convince the jury if he thought he was guilty.
He even said that the prosecution was hiding documents. What did he call that?
Right, and as Twiz, like, this is the nuance. As Twiz is saying, the prosecution's case was wrong. They stated when he left and how he got there and how he drove there, and they were wrong. And so and that's what Cyril was essentially saying. You're wrong about the route. The double take that he's taking is I never said he wasn't guilty. I'm just saying the state was wrong about the route that he took. He went a different way. He went north instead of south. So he's playing the game of, I've never said it. I've never lied. All I said was the state's case is incorrect. He didn't go south and then east to Moscow. That's not how he went. And everybody else jumped to conclusions of that means that he's not the killer. He's like, no, I didn't say that. He went north instead and came down through Indian Hills on the north side of Moscow. Yeah, so in his mind, he's not double taking. He's just saying you didn't listen carefully to me. All I said was the state's case is incorrect. He didn't go the route they said. He still went there. He just went a different route.
Right. Yeah, and he said if they'd have followed the path that he took and paid attention to that, then they would have come up to the same conclusion, but it would have been the right conclusion.
Right.
And, he may be accurate on all of that. We won't know unless this gets back into a stage where it's a trial.
Right.
But but back to where Koberger is now filed for post-conviction relief. I think he's going to have a good shot at getting that awarded to him, especially with just that leak. Forget all the evidence Turvey is talking about in Whitcomb. But if that leak came from the defense, it's over. They have to award it to him because that's improper. I mean, the lawyer did not do it. And how would he know because they hid that information from him? It's sealed.
He didn't.
Yeah.
How could he?
Yeah.
And then how could he, going back to Ann Taylor, people think, oh, this is a chess match. She's playing chess here. You cannot get up in front of a judge and lie. Look it up. It's called being a candor to the tribunal. When Hitler asked her, words to the effect, does he have all the discovery he needs? And she said yes. Discovery was still coming in.
Not just that. If Hitler,
a week later,
if Hitler knew that there was a leak from the defense and he allowed that plea deal to go forward, he's no longer qualified to be a judge in that case.
Yeah, this case is going to get nuts.
That leak is so important to this case, right? I mean,
yeah.
If the defense did it, then that was to sabotage and force a plea. If the prosecution did it, it was to sabotage and force a plea. He shouldn't have allowed the case to go to a plea bargain. He shouldn't have allowed the case to be settled. He should have mandated it to go to trial, and this information should have been allowed at trial. That leak.
Yeah, and right, and that is a good point because people fail to realize Hitler could have not accepted the plea deal that the two sides arranged. He could have said, "No, screw you guys. We've spent all this time, 3 years, getting ready for trial. We're going to fucking trial. I'm not accepting your bullshit last minute." He could have done that. He didn't, but he could have. He could have said, "I reject your reality and substitute my own."
Well,
hang on, let's address this.
That's why you have a change of plea hearing. That's why it's not, okay, here's the plea deal, okay, case is over. No, there had to be the hearing on the 2nd when he stood up in open court. And I think that where Hitler messed up is that he did not take any action to make sure, because they didn't want any pre-sentencing interventions. Both sides agreed. No, because it was such a rush to have this thing over and done with. Real quick,
would you let me address Pippa real quick? So what are some examples of people who pled guilty? I don't have the names, but I will tell you this. We were recently told a statistic, and I believe it's correct. 1/3, 30% of cases that the Innocence Project picks up are cases in which the person who was convicted had pled guilty. So 30% of the Innocence Project's cases were people who pled guilty to something they didn't do. So while I don't have the names, it is a phenomena that happens.
It's real, and that's because 97+% of your cases are pled out.
Yeah.
And that to me is a form of coercion. The plea deal process itself is a form of coercion. When you say to a person that could be facing, like I had one time I was going to face 10 years, or I could get probation or whatever for 3 years if I plead guilty to a lesser charge. Now you're getting your conviction, and but you're not holding me accountable to the crime I committed. So it's almost a level of coercion. You can either face up to 10 years or get 3 years of probation. That's coercion. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's how our system works. It's a coercive system that should not be allowed, in my opinion.
Exactly. Well, that's what the Supreme Court said in Hunter, June 18th, concurring opinion. The justice who asked the DOJ's attorney, oh, so if we have an orangutan kill, whatever the sentence, you would say that should stand. They said in the concurring opinion, when did we become a country of plea deals, these secret negotiations behind closed doors outside of the public venue? We're supposed to be a country of jury trials. So, and they saw statistics in amicus briefs that 56% of people in a study who were innocent pled guilty because they feared going up against the powers that be. They felt that it would be better for them to just plead guilty to get, for whatever reason. So this has reached the U.S. Supreme Court's ears in terms of what a problem we have in terms of these plea deals.
I want to just go into a short little dissertation. It won't be long. But what people don't realize is a crime scene with one type of evidence, suggesting it to be a gun with my fingerprint, is not enough to convict me of the murder that gun was a part of. Okay? Let's jump to the Kohberger case. In the Kohberger case, transfer DNA on the knife sheath of a knife sheath that we don't even know was part of the crime, that a knife that may or may not have come from that was part of the crime, was found at the crime scene. That does not place Brian Kohberger at the crime scene during the crime. It means that somewhere in the history of that knife sheath it came in contact with transfer DNA that came either directly or indirectly from Brian Kohberger. So the most important thing for a case like this is you have to build a rock-solid foundation to place him at the home during the times of the crime. And in that area, they failed miserably. They have no evidence placing him there during the time of the crime. The DNA itself is not enough. And the fact that it's transfer DNA handled properly by a good defense team, that probably wouldn't even have been allowed. So when you look at the Brian Kohberger case, what you're seeing is an extraneous attempt to connect dots, whether they connect or not. And the dots are connected by a story, not fact. And they did that because it's the only way that you can charge somebody or try to convict somebody. You have to daisy chain the evidence to the perpetrator to the time of the crime. So when they lost him for 2 hours during the time of the crime, they lost that opportunity. Then they went to video camera, and they tried to daisy chain video of a vehicle that's of similar nature to Brian Kohberger's car, but not identifiable uniquely to him. They had no case ever. You must have that circumstantial evidence and or direct evidence. I saw him walk away from the home. He sped by me and I got a good look at him. Okay? There has to be something connecting him to the DNA to that particular time of that crime. That's why you see these wild videos and backwards and forwards, and it's insanity what they did, because they were reaching and they were telling a story. And that's also why they destroyed him in the media. They needed to convince people that their story was the one and only way this crime could have been committed, because it was the only way that they could have charged him.
Yep.
And now that's what we've been reading. That's what we've been reviewing, right? And
I think
that's the fucked upness of this case. Is it's fine if he did it. I don't object to him being a criminal or not criminal for this.
Lucy,
but I do object to the
Lucy
lies they've used. What?
Sarge Lee, Lucy did a post today. She went back. I had forgotten about this, but back in January, there was a hearing. Lucy, could you just refresh everyone's recollection as to what you found out? That at the beginning of the case, Marshall brought in everybody, including the G family's attorney, in a secret meeting, and there was some indication at that time as to where information was getting leaked. Because recall, The gag order was signed on the 4th of January. It was like day 4 of the case by her. And there's still stories that were getting out to the media. And she did a good post today that said, reminded everyone, and she cited to the record as to where that leak came from.
Real quick before she answers that, I have to actually take off. I've got something going on over here that I got to take care of. So I want to just say good night and thank you, by the way, for inviting me up on the show. It's been really cool being here with you guys, and unfortunately, I have to kind of ditch out.
Well, thanks for coming, Lee. We'll see you again.
Lee, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a great night.
And I booted him for departure.
Here she goes. I think she has the link there for you, Sarge, regarding her post today. You know, how does the media get all these inside scoops? How does a person like Bloom get to know what Gunderson was thinking, that he smelled something?
Post it again, Lucy.
Yeah,
there
it was a really good post. It was from the beginning of the case regarding. And remember, the non-dissemination order was in place at this time when this hearing happened. Secret hearing, behind closed doors.
So, all right, I'll read this. Lucy Morningstar, 3 hours ago. Just a reminder about who Shannon Gray, attorney for the family of victim Kaylee Goncalves, stated to Magistrate Marshall specific to who is behind things leaked in the first couple of months of this case. Marshall appreciates Blank's perspective. Judge Marshall was saying that clients cannot talk to the media, but does question, what the hell, Luce? This needs to be magnified or something. Everything she gives me needs a level of magnification. Okay. Reminds lawyers they have a responsibility of giving advice to their clients. If any lawyer has questions about this, or talking about us with this, they should contact Idaho State Bar and seek clarification. Gray speaks about emailing the state and wanting to contact the county. God, with this, her document is here, but it's the county. Gray speaks out. The clarification. Okay, Ms. Gray stated he would seek clarity from Idaho. State Judge Marshall responded that she appreciates Gray reaching out, but that the limited accessibility of the full court calendar, this is why she is scheduling a meeting. Gray discusses PC affidavit and alleges that information is getting leaked. I don't know if it's by the prosecutor's office. Why is this with your documents? They're cut off on one side. She sent me documents last night of the same issue. Marshall reminds the parties about IRPC 3.6 and the lawyer's duties, and they should not be speculating. Marshall clarifies that public. I can't read something I can't read. There's words missing in this thing. Maybe you should open it and read it. I'm getting a terrible. Am I still on? I'm getting a terrible outcome from what I opened.
Lucy, just bottom line, it may be in chat, or if you could come up, maybe. And since Sarge is not, I can't read it here either in real time, but I believe what she said was that the Gonzalez attorney was getting a little upset because everybody was pointing at him and them as being, and the leak wasn't coming from them. That he was alleging that it was coming from somewhere else.
All right, hang on.
There it is. She's got it. She's got it in capital letters.
From now, the state of Idaho, by and through the Latah County prosecuting attorney and the above-named defendant, by and through its undersigned attorney of record, and hereby stipulate to court unsealing the attached redacted copy of the memo summarizing January 13, 2023, in Chambers Conference, which was filed under seal on January 20, 2023. The redactions are pursuant to Idaho Court Administrative Rule, in that, given the extent of threats and harassment of potential witnesses, disclosure of the redacted potential witnesses' names and their representation as thus, and then signed. The following is a summary of in-chamber Zoom meeting with Marshall. Okay, this is awesome. This is the same document, but complete. Thank you, Lucy.
Yeah,
Thank you, thank you.
Lucy, thanks, Lucy, because I'd forgotten about what had happened there, Sarge. Is that remember they've had a lot of hearings behind closed doors. Like we knew the alternative perpetrator hearing was partially in the public, and then they went behind closed doors.
Right. She gave me a
Anything
full
having to do with
copy
the
of.
grand jury.
She
This
gave me a.
hearing wasn't even noticed. Nobody even know that this hearing happened, and that's
Well,
why they went in and they had the stipulation to unseal it. But what she found and what that record says
Well,
is
I
that
have the full document now. I can
Good.
read it.
okay,
I
go
can read
ahead.
it. All right. Judge Marshall directed everybody's attention for the commentary for the rule, specifically subparagraph 1 and 3. Marshall states her reading of commentary 3 leads her to believe the rule applies to all lawyers participating in the Zoom meeting. This includes not only the state and defense, but also attorneys for witnesses. Marshall directed everyone's attention to the commentary for rules, specifically subparagraphs 5 and 7. After review of Rule 3 and 6, Marshall explained that the purpose for this meeting was in response to what she had been seeing and hearing from various media sources. She had tried to ignore most media covering the case, since she will be presiding over the preliminary hearing. This case has garnered national and international attention. It's a high-profile case, and she wants to remind all attorneys not to engage in any conduct that would interfere with a fair trial. Because of the nature of this case, this will be a long process. She further advised it's not the responsibility of the attorneys in this case to disseminate information to the media. She's not ordering clients, i.e. witnesses, not to talk to the media, but stressed this case should not be tried in the media, but in the court of law. Lawyers involved need to take their duties in utmost regard when conducting themselves and advising their clients. Marshall stated she wanted to make her expectations clear regarding the lawyer's ethical duties. If lawyers fail to adhere to their ethical duties, she will have to either find them in contempt of her order and or report their actions to the Idaho State Bar. Shannon Gray responded that he reached out to the non-dissemination order, after the non-dissemination order was issued asking for a clarification, and he did not receive a response. He asked if the order precludes victim witnesses from speaking. Marshall reordered that her order does not preclude witnesses from speaking. Blank responded that he expects his clients, blank, will be witnesses in the case. He also expects that the students' families will be witnesses in this case, since it is a potential capital case, and they would be called to testify. He's handled numerous homicide cases during his career. He assures the court he has advised his client to decline all media and will continue to do that. He and his client will not comment as it would be inappropriate to comment. Judge Marshall appreciates Blank's perspective. Marshall reiterates she is not saying that clients cannot talk to the media, but does question whether it is wise for them to talk to the media. Reminds lawyers that they have a responsibility in giving their advice to clients. If any lawyer has questions about this or takes issues with this, they should contact the Idaho State Bar and seek clarification. Gray speaks out about emailing the state and wanting to contact the court to seek clarification. Gray said he would seek clarity from the Idaho State Bar. Marshall responded that she appreciates Gray's reaching out, but that she has a limited accessibility with a full court calendar. This is why she scheduled the meeting. Gray discusses PC affidavit and alleges that information is getting leaked from the prosecutor's office. Marshall reminds the parties about IRPC 3.6.
Okay, that's it right there. Sarge, read that line again, please.
Marshall reminds the parties about IRPC 3 and 6.
What Shannon Gray said, where the leaks were coming from.
He said it was coming from the prosecutor's office.
This is January
years ago.
And what did Judge Hippler say in the May 15th order? He felt that the big leak to Dateline was the result of either law enforcement, current or former, or the prosecutor's office.
Wasn't the Dateline leak, though, almost very, very close to the plea deal?
No, it was May. It was right before the final pretrial conference, because the final pretrial conference, May 15th, was supposed to start like at 9 o'clock in the morning, and they didn't. Hippler is usually a real stickler for detail. And we're sitting here saying, why isn't it was like 9:05, 10, 15, 20. They were behind closed doors talking about this Dateline story that had hit the airways the following, whatever the Saturday, the weekend was. And that order of the 15th of May cites to the Dateline leak in the footnote number 1.
All right, so let's refresh the audience. To your knowledge, what was the leak?
The leak when?
The leak that happened that fucked up that towards the end there that it came out to Dateline.
Dateline NBC, Keith, whatever his name is, started to make some promos about the Koberger case, the Idaho student unalivings case. And we saw in those promos for the first time what appeared to be was supposedly video from the 1112 camera. The public had never seen that video ever. There were a couple of stills of allegedly suspect vehicle ones in the in limine motions from both sides that was filed in April, in March of 25. But this was the first time ever that the video from the 1112 camera was published. And then he began to speak about, there was interviews, and then there was photographs that were supposedly in Koberger's phone, that they had access to his phone. This was at a really sensitive time during the proceeding because the final pretrial conference, which happened days later, then the Dateline special aired, seen by millions upon millions of people. And the final pretrial conference that had been set from November when Judge Hippler put out the order, following year, October,
Right.
May 15th, he went into closed doors with them to discuss the Dateline episode, and that's when he held up during the final pretrial conference the document hold orders regarding that Dateline episode. That Dateline episode was the leak. It was a violation of the non-dissemination order.
So Lucy's saying that leak originated in 2023.
That's what Lucy's pointing out, that apparently the attorney for Shannon Gray was saying they're speaking. It's coming from the prosecutor's office. And you think back to the the beginnings of the case. Howard Bloom.
Wasn't there also a leak? Oh, wait. Wasn't there a leak about there being a plea deal?
That was the end of June now, Sergeant, like June 30th.
But isn't that, wait, let me finish. That leak about the plea deal came out just prior to the plea deal, and wasn't Hippler rather torn apart by that as well?
I don't remember if he was or wasn't, but where that came from, I believe, in going back, I got to look at my notes here, but I think it was Brian Enton, because of his connection to the Gonzalez family. By then, everything was signed. It was done. And so, from what I understand, the Gonzalez family told Enton, and then Enton went public with it.
Right? Isn't Turvey referring to that last leak that happened just prior to the plea deal? Or are you saying that the leak that they're referring to originated in 2023 and was going to become part of a documentary in 2025?
No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that there was evidence on the record at this behind closed doors hearing that wasn't even noticed to the public. If you go back and look at the docket, there is no indication that she ever called that hearing. Behind closed doors, they were talking about the non-dissemination order because the first non-dissemination order went into effect January 4th. It ultimately, in 2025, the big leak, now I don't know if that's all connected.
She cleared it up. Look at the screen. Lucy cleared it up. It was the Molly McMichael thing saying she saw Koberger the night of the crime. And that's when that ugly woman that comes on TV, what's her name there? I call her Rat Face. Take that, Koberger. Remember when she came out and said that?
Yep, I certainly do. But
and that leak came before the plea deal. Okay, and it's all connected. Thank you. Yeah. Kathy, get the hell out of here. Lucy, come up here.
Lucy, wait a second. The non-dissemination order doesn't say anything about Molly McMichael.
No. But she's saying the Molly McMichael and all the other stuff is like daisy chained together.
It could be.
Ending with the Molly McMichael leak. It's from what I'm getting from her.
If you want to pull up the May 15th order, do it now, and you tell me where Molly McMichael's name is referenced in there. It's not in here.
She may not be in that order, but
Yeah,
what
but
she's
it
what
could
I
be all
think
connected. I understand
that's
that.
what she's saying. Yeah, she's saying that that's
Right.
all part of the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But
there
in
you
any
go.
event, all of this looks very good for Mr. Koberger because he's entitled to a right to an impartial trial,
Look what
jury,
she's
and
saying.
judge.
That Molly being leaked was a direct result of the preservation order. I'm not sure I can understand that.
I don't understand. What I thought happened is that
The name was
somebody
leaked 6 hours later.
What I think happened, and you can, if you want to point to the record, if I'm incorrect, is that someone FOIA'd the information from when Molly McMichael was arrested in Washington. And that blew up, and that caused the defense to file the 24th a supplementary request for production. But that is not at all. Molly McMichael's name is not, you're wrong, if that's what you're saying here. The
She
May
just said she had a
15th
video
order
tore down.
does not say anything about Molly McMichael.
She's not saying that it does. She's saying that this Molly McMichael leak was all a part of that. It was a sequence of events that culminated with that leak there.
Okay,
So
that's your theory. I understand that. That's your theory, and it may be true. But where in the court records is Judge Hippler entering any kind of an order regarding Molly McMichael? He's not. He's not. The Dateline
I
leak.
don't think Molly McMichael needed to be mentioned. If they're talking about it, nobody can leak. You guys violated my order to leak. And
Exactly.
that was in the I don't know. Lucy knows what she's trying to say. I'm trying to interpret what she's saying with the chat room that moves faster than my heartbeats.
I keep going. I mean, everybody can have theories, but we got to go by what
I
the court
don't think
records
it's a
say.
theory. I don't think she's given us a theory.
I want to know. Well, I'm asking her to pull up a court order where Judge Hippler referenced the Molly McMichael situation as being a part of the violation of the non-dissemination order. It's not there, Lucy.
Yeah, I don't know.
No,
But that was the last leak that was heaped upon the public before we knew there was going to be a plea deal. Is that right? Did the Molly McMichael video come out before we knew there was going to be a plea deal?
Yes.
Okay. And that would have then made it impossible for Brian Koberger to get a fair trial.
Well,
And that's when I say that they're looking at the defense for that specific leak. Nothing to do with court orders, nothing to do. He ordered an investigation at that point.
he ordered an investigation. Sarge, he ordered the investigation May 15th.
Hours after
What he
Hippler
said-
gave
what
the
he said
preservation
was-
order. Look at what she says. Look. She said, can I get on?
Okay, you know what? I don't want to continue to fight with Lucy if she's not going to cite to the record. Cite to the record, Lucy, where this was part of the investigation. Please. I mean, it's the same thing with Big Amish coming out and saying that Brian Koberger's requested a transcript of the plea agreement. No, he didn't. It was the sentencing agreement. So please, Lucy, cite to the record where Judge Hippler, this was part of the investigation, because it wasn't.
We'll have to see how it turns out. She's saying
No,
that
I'm
after
just
he
saying,
gave
go
the
to the
order,
record. Go to the
after
record.
Hitler ordered the preservation, then the Molly McMichael leak happened right after that. So she's
Okay,
referring
Lucy,
to the
you're going to
preservation
continue to
order.
yell in person. Come on up here, Lucy.
Yeah, she
You know,
does.
don't yell. I said, come on up here.
Yeah.
No, I mean, people want to give their theories, and that's fine. I go by what's in the court record.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of like listening to the stuff you put out there. The
Well,
court
that's
record
what I
matters.
put out there.
Sometimes
I
she
could come
produced.
up
She
with
says,
all
listen.
types- I could come up with all types of theories.
When she came in here yesterday and said that there were 33 footprints found, I was like, what the fuck? Where'd you come up with that shit? And then she produces the fucking sauce. There it is. I was shocked. I didn't know. I mean, I never saw that fucking write-up before. That was stunning. That there's 33 fucking footprints in the property belonging to the investigators. That's insane.
Right.
Did you know that?
I didn't see that in the court record. I'm not sure what she's
It's
speaking
not. It's
about.
in notes. It's in handwritten notes by the investigators.
And where was that? Where was that released from?
She's got it. She can tell you.
Well, you know, I mean, we can all say we
No,
got.
no. Listen,
material.
I had the documents in my possession yesterday, but
Where
I'm
did
very
it come
sad.
from? Was it from one of the requests for production of? I'm not saying that it's not valid, But you got to cite to the record, Sarge.
Well, she
You know,
did.
the
And
Idaho
so,
Supreme Court isn't going to be very, when Koberger goes up to the Idaho Supreme Court, oh, well, somebody found a document somewhere, you got to cite to a record. You got to cite to where it is and where it came from.
right.
Because we sure know there's a lot of information that's AI generated that's been manipulated regarding this case.
Right. These were handwritten notes. I forget who
From
wrote
where?
them. Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
for the
bad.
10th time, where does it come from?
She can answer that. I can't.
Okay.
I can't answer that. But I read the notes. I read through the things yesterday, and it was rather shocking to me. And even Steve, the funny thing is God, Steve G himself said, he said they were going to talk about the footprints in court. You're going to blow your mind with those footprints with that footprint when it comes up in court. And then that same night after Steve said that, I had a stream, and then she gave me a link to it. I may be able to go back to that stream and pull up them links. That maybe, but it's hard to go back through the chat room on a stream. I don't know. You know, I'm just really, I'm bad that way.
No, that's all right. But I just keep saying, you know, like I told Big Amish the other day, I'll cite to where on the record where Mr. Koberger asked the transcript, and then he went all, you know, a lunatic on
Well,
me.
he admitted, though, he did admit, if you listened, he admitted that he believes that's what happened.
Well,
he never said
you
that there
believe
was.
what happened. I believe that there's cheese on the moon. We're talking about the
Right.
Koberger.
I believe the moon is made of cheese. You want to go for a bite?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I think believing is just, and I get things wrong, but it's not an intentional. The reason I get things wrong is because, unlike you and some of the other people that do research, I don't keep all these documents and write everything down.
No, it's hard. It's a 2.5 year plus, but I mean, a couple of months ago,
I wouldn't know how to file them to find them once I did it. That's the truth. I mean, there's so much shit here. How are you going to find the fucking document and bring up a conversation from 3 years ago? You're like, oh, fuck, I got the document. I just can't find it.
Well, you use my
Well, I have
podcast. It's Sergeant Friday. For
What?
more than 2.5 years, I had that podcast which followed everything on the document, on the
Right.
docket. If you want to go onto YouTube, pull up the podcast, and just pull in whatever you're interested in. Plea deal, it will point you where on the docket it's located. It is impossible to know exactly where everything is because that docket is not searchable. But what
Well,
I'm
she
saying
generally
here,
is, she, like you, generally will produce supporting documents to statements that she makes. This is the first time, I don't know, maybe she took a nap or something, but she's pretty good about giving a document that supports the point she makes. And that's been my experience with her.
no, I mean, maybe it is on the docket. I don't recall seeing anything about 23 footprints on the docket. We just needed
there
to cite it
wasn't.
to the docket.
There wasn't. These are investigative notes that were FOIA'd.
By who? And from where?
Kane beat the birds. This guy causes a rift between me
Hey,
and
Kane.
he
Hi
causes
guys,
a
how you
rift-
doing?
Doing great.
Listen. He causes a rift between me and the custody queens.
Oh,
Hey.
that was who the hell ordered the cuck shake over here?
The who?
The cuck shake.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I thought that somebody named Lee ordered a cuck shake.
A cup shake?
Cuck shake. Like Steve
Oh, I
G,
see. Look at your images. Don't make fun of my girl Sam. No. Can't make fun of Sam. Kristen,
Hey,
the other one, go ahead. Leave Ron out of it too. My
Ron-
issue is
Ron-
with Kristen. My issue is with Kristen, not those two.
Yeah, I saw you had what is
Besides
what is it,
Sam, Sam is my dream woman. You can't make fun of her.
So you don't even at all think that was a setup? I mean, in any way, you said yourself you were questioning how come they invited you on to begin with, and I'm like,
Yeah, thank you for
You're-
repeating that. I said that the minute I got the invite, I was like, why would these people invite me? Of all streamers
Yeah,
out there,
right,
why
right.
would I
What
invite-
happened? Hey, Sergeant Friday, what happened? I heard that you were going to be on Custody Queens. You're not going on anymore?
No.
They canceled them 'cause of
they
me.
rescinded their invite
Why?
because apparently I collaborate with Kane, but I don't collaborate with the guy. I don't collaborate with anybody. I bring people to come up on the show. I put the link in the stream. Anybody can come up.
Well,
No different than they do, and they say the things they say. He called them the cuckold queens, and I told him, don't say that in here. Leave them people alone. I
He's
like
got
them.
a First Amendment right to say what he wants. I mean,
Yeah, I know, but I
I
was
don't
trying
see
to
anything wrong with
I was
Katie
trying
and
to
I
build
have
an
many
inner.
conversations. We don't collaborate, but we've had many conversations of everything from Scientology to this case.
Well, I know, but if someone
So what's
came
the
in here and
problem with talking to Kane?
they made a disparaging comment about you or Lucy, or I would tell them, don't do it. Don't come in here and do it. Right? That's
Well,
only
they
for
can
me
do
to
it.
do. I can disparage. I can disparage Kane, you fat bastard. But anyway,
Listen. No,
listen.
I did you a favor, Sarge, because look how controlling they are. They want to make. They not only want you on the show, they want to tell you who you can hang out with. You don't need those kind of people in your life.
No,
You
no,
already got
they
Lori.
were interested in my blood splatter analysis, and that's fine.
Which is
I
pretty,
told them,
which is pretty good.
which I told them
I
not to refer to me or my show or use any of my information on theirs.
Well, it must
We
have been. I
haven't-
mean, I will say it must have been really damn good for you to be up there with those legendary guys like Cyrene and Turby and Whitcomb. I mean, for God's sake, they didn't even do.
Yeah,
any
I
research.
didn't look at it like that. Maybe if I'd have had that advice first, I probably wouldn't have taken shots at him the next
Dude,
day.
why don't you just take me with you everywhere you go?
Holy
Well-
fuck, because I couldn't afford to feed you, you fat bastard. I
I am eating
can
some
see,
brownies
I can
right
see
now,
Kane
as a matter
sitting
of
in the
fact.
passenger seat just looking like a puppy dog while I'm ordering a double quarter pounder with cheese.
You think you're gonna make it by any fast?
Are you
food
gonna get
restaurants
5 or
on the
6
way?
for? Are you gonna get 5 or 6 for me? Can I have a milkshake and 4 more for my buddy Kane?
Wait, is the issue that you communicate? You're not allowed to communicate with Kane and JJ, or is it just Kane?
I don't know who JJ is, but apparently it's just Kane.
Who's your partner, Kane?
I don't have no names, ma'am.
Oh my God!
Okay, sorry, never mind.
No. Double J's is a partner in the show. Also, Jen in Criminal Confidential.
I don't know, man. But listen, if
And,
my information was valuable enough for you to make the invite, you should have let the other shit ride. What's the difference? I didn't have any.
Why don't they invite me on the shows? Well, I want to.
You finally got a shirt on this time.
fucking platform, for fuck's sake. Yeah, no, I know. I got to recommend
Sergeant Friday. I've enjoed speaking with Kane. I mean, one night we went on for about 3 hours. Kane,
we had out behind the bleachers the whole time and stuff.
We talked about a million and one things, and I loved speaking with him. I don't understand what the problem is, but in the end, you've been doing some more lives than you ever did before. You've started to, I think, do more lives and put out more content and doing your analysis of the blood splatter, which is very important right now. So maybe everything worked out in the end.
Yeah, I don't care. Listen, I don't do this to make money. I'm not trying to get famous. And I do it because I have an interest in this particular prosecution. And that's the end of it. So, I was shocked they invited me right from the beginning. I couldn't believe that email showed up.
You're going to love it. I'll play it later.
I was asking them to ask Whitcomb, or was it Whitcomb?
All day doing shit.
I was trying to get them to ask Whitcomb a question for me. And that's when they said they watched my stream and they'd like me to come up and talk about the blood.
Don't try to tell me they haven't watched my stream. Everybody watches my fucking stream. I know that.
You get 40 views at best. I've been watching your stream.
I go in there to give you a like. You do half the time.
I go in there to give you a like. I give you what they call a pity like.
I out Sarge the Sarge himself. He's as high as I can go.
How many views do you get, Kane?
That depends. Views come and go. I get, last one was 400, 500, and then the one before that, 1,500. When Kathy was on, it was 1,500, I think. Something like that.
Kane be the purge. I'm going to take a peek and just see. See if Kane B is giving us the sauce, or is he giving us the shit? 2 days ago, 420 views. A year ago, 1,000. 2 weeks ago, 48.
48.
200. 100 views 2 months ago.
Get the
wow. You're going to play something.
He's full of shit. Yeah,
I'm reading 112 views. Idaho 4, true crime with your crazy pictures.
Look under my lives, you ding dong. You're looking at under this the little shorts I put up.
All right, let's look here. Let's look. Kane has 1,640 members, and he's got 73 views 2 days ago. Idaho 4, true crime. And then he's got one with 1.2 thousand, 1,900, 1,000. 650, 480. Yeah, you average maybe, I don't know, 700 views.
If people like it when I'm on regularly, if I'm not consistent, like Liz says, then I don't get it. I have to pick it back up. But
I'm guilty by association with this guy.
yeah,
No, you're
I
not
couldn't,
guilty at all. I mean,
bro. I saw it coming. I just didn't really think they'd have the fucking balls to do that. Such a
Why
slap in
not?
the face, bro. Because it's like
To them,
fucking saying like,
it's a slap to themselves, man.
yeah, they look like shit doing that. They what kind of person does that?
Well,
What do I
apparently
have to do with you or with them?
that girl that runs the show, she takes credit for making Sam. Whatever.
What I won't even say what she's high on, but I don't know. Anyway.
Good.
Oh shit, my pants are falling down for some reason. Don't look, Kathy. Yeah, you want to hear your song? I've been working on it
I
all
would love
night.
to.
I gotta pull it up. Hold on, I gotta get in tune though. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
You know,
If you
Sergeant
talk-
Friday, Kane at one time, he did perform before 10,000 people live.
Well, my band
Listen,
did. I wasn't in the band at that time, but
In the,
I
in the
exaggerate
last
sometimes.
15, what is it? The last
I
10
never let
videos I
the
haven't.
truth get in the way
Listen,
of a good story. Yes, sir.
Kane, let me toot my own horn, or I'll have to find where you live. My last 10 videos compared to yours, I haven't dropped down to even 1,000. I've been above
I'm
that.
proud
the
of
whole
you.
time.
You're doing great in this comeback. You know, it's your last job. You know, before
That's
you know,
awesome.
as I say, it's like the farewell tour or whatever. I get it.
Yeah, well, you know, when you get old, you never know when the end is near.
Are you older or Mick Jagger? Which one is?
No, he's definitely older than I am. Put the
Mick
guitar
Jagger
away.
is
We
much
don't-
older than
This
Sergeant
isn't a
Friday.
musical up here. This
I'm just
isn't a
gonna
Christmas.
play a couple. I'm gonna play a couple bars for Kathy. You're gonna
Before
like
you
it,
do,
Sarge.
Kane, what type of a
Yeah.
guitar are you using there? Now, look, everyone, this is an acoustic guitar. This is what songwriters use when they compose. What type of a guitar is that?
This is an Alvarez.
All right,
It was
quick.
made.
Quick.
I'm gonna tune. You guys talk. I'm just listening. I'm learning from you guys.
All right,
I'm
we're
gonna
going to
mute
mute for
myself.
that. Mute. All right, I muted him. When you're ready, just start shaking the guitar up and down. I don't care how many viewers I get. It's the least important thing of coming out here for me. Oh, Kathy's muted too. I only muted one person though. I don't know how you got muted, Kathy.
Scientology, current event, not just Idaho 4, music, composing, his guitar collection, his approach to composing Sergeant Friday. I've encouraged him to get back into his music again because you can see it's obviously a love of his.
Oh, yeah.
When you're born with that type of a talent, and being that he's an independent person, he would never sign up with some type of a record company.
Right.
I hope that he continues to you.
Well, he
maybe
should
even-
play.
hey,
He should
hey,
play with
hey,
Christopher
maybe
Whitcomb.
even put the Why don't you put the Coburger Manifesto to song? Could you
Yeah, there you
imagine?
He should play a guitar alongside of Christopher Whitcomb
Yeah, there you go.
because he's also into the music and in a band and all kinds of crazy shit. Kane he's trying to tune a guitar I don't know. I hope he didn't step on it at any point. You know, are you ready? Shake the guitar. Are you ready?
He's got to warm up. This is what guitarists do. They have to warm up. He's
Warm
got to
up.
think about his notes. You don't just all of a sudden you jump into playing.
He's
a tune.
playing with his breastises. At least he's got a shirt on this time.
Hey, Micro was saying, I think, great idea to the Kane, possibly putting the Coburger Manifesto, where he basically told the world to go for everybody from Detective Brett Payne to Thompson to his own attorneys. I would love to hear that spoken word to Kane's music. I'll throw that out there in the universe.
I'd like to hear
That
Bill
out.
Thompson's rendition of Brian Koberger didn't do it. You know, during the plea hearing.
Yeah. Yeah. What about when you said before count one? Count one was the burglary with the intention to commit another, a felony. And they can't place him in the house. But if you can't place him in the house, then the burglary count goes away. And if the burglary count goes away, everything that comes after the burglary count goes away. The burglary count,
Right, exactly.
The burglary count is the foundation for everything else. Just like Sarge, the PCA is the foundation for everything else.
Right. All right, kiss me. I'm in Discord. If you want to say something in Discord, go right ahead there. Kiss me. All right, I'm back. I'm all over the place over here. I want to know.
Asking, Sarge.
Listen, here's what I'd like to know. Listen, How do I put a background behind my stream so that I can then video and have a background like an office or a park or a mountain or because I'm in my smoking room. I'd rather not broadcast the smoking room.
Go to
Scully would-
settings.
Scully's
Sorry,
here.
Go to
might
settings.
answer
I'll
that
tell you.
question.
I can tell you there's settings at the bottom. It's a little wheel, Sarge. And click on that and go to let me see what it is. Virtual settings.
Hang on. Well, I'm not going to do it during the stream. I'll fuck the stream up, right?
No, you can do it. No, it's easy. It's visual effects. Click on visual effects.
Under settings,
Yeah, under that little wheel at the bottom.
audio, camera, visual effects. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And then I can put a background up on the screen.
You have to. Yeah, you can choose from your own computer, or you can choose one of the ones that they have up there already if you want.
All right, we'll do vintage. All right. And then how do I make it part of the thing?
Just click on it and oh wait.
It doesn't
Something
show
else?
up.
Let's see here. Camera. Yeah, no, it should show up.
Maybe it doesn't because I'm not using a camera. I'm using.
Oh, you have
I'm
to use a
using
camera with it. Yeah, it only works with a camera. I'm sorry, but you
All
can
right, so I'll
choose
try-
you can choose a virtual camera and not have your picture up there and still have the picture behind it.
All right, let me see.
Try that.
Let me see. I do have a
You'll
camera.
just go to the camera settings and select one of the virtual cameras.
USB live camera. All right, let's see here.
I'm going to turn off my echo and noise pad search. Just 'cause
All right, so
otherwise,
I did that. Then visual effects. We can go with that room, and still doesn't do anything. There's no way to apply it.
Did you choose virtual camera?
No, I'm using a real camera.
Oh, you are okay, and it's selected under camera.
Yeah,
Okay, and then
I turned in.
and go back to visual effects now, and click on any of the pictures there. Again, make sure it's highlighted. It'll be highlighted
It
in
is.
blue. It is. Try to
Yeah, it's showing me that it's saying I don't have a camera.
No,
That's
see
the
right now,
problem.
I'm looking at you. You're still your round avatar. You haven't selected a camera
I-
yet. You have to.
I
you
did
have
select
to
the camera,
Okay, you might have selected a
but
camera.
you can either
but
use.
Okay, close the settings
Wait a minute.
and go to your
Wait,
little icon.
wait.
Yep.
No, wait, I gotta go. My audio is set up for. I'll fuck with this off air. I'm not gonna.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. But yeah. Anyway, so you know it's at the bottom of the screen. Your little icon there that you add to the stage. The little 3 dots next to it. It'll say
Yeah.
visual effects, and you should be able to select it from that
Yep.
one. Because right now you're on avatar. Let me see how you get off avatar.
Yeah. No, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll do it tomorrow morning,
No big deal.
and then
Oh,
I'll
good.
start streaming off of my camera. I guess. Yeah.
Really, you look good. I feel like write a song about it almost. So how was today? Did you
Are you
play
ready to
around
play
with
that
the
guitar, or are we just like burning the daylight
Are
candles?
you guys? Do you guys really want to hear this?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Now,
You mind if I
Kane,
do it?
which chords will you be using here? Are you going with
All
chords
the major ones and all the minor. Let me grab a drink real quick, though. I get nervous.
Okay.
Right back. Hang on. I'm hot.
Gets nervous.
Florida's so fucking hot.
Well,
My
no, I
God.
mean,
Come
this
on,
is
Jelly
what
Belly.
artists do
Let's
starting Friday. They have to, you have to be in the right mood.
These musicians are more complicated than need be, and Sarge don't have patience for that. Check my Discord again. I know that there's already something I could put up here to play, but I'm not going to play it there, Kisme. Check this. Let's see here. Is it opening again or no? It's confused now because I was playing with the camera. This cord is having a mental breakdown. I cannot explain why. There it is. Well, what is your background setting? Who are the people in your background, Kane? Man.
All right, well, I can hear you.
Oh my, you're an awful lot of work, Tank. Oh, that's Scully. Scully always does stuff with music.
Scully's a musician too. I didn't know that. I knew
Well, I
he was
don't
an
know if he's a
artist.
musician, but he put
I
maybe.
want to introduce you, Kane.
I'm
You
waiting
came
for
in.
Scully's
He's on
interpretation
tour
of
in
Labrador.
Dive in Fells County, Florida. He's here on the Sarge Show.
I'm gonna watch
Times,
that tomorrow. I'm not playing.
Danny Zone. I'm the King.
All right, Tank doesn't listen.
Huh?
Keep him muted.
Am I muted?
Oops.
Just don't put on the background producer because it can you see me?
Yeah, he's a rambler. You got to tell us when you're ready, because I got you muted. That's his ventilator to his defibrillator.
Oh, by the way, Sergeant Friday,
I
just
did
checked
mute
the
Kane. I
docket.
muted him.
Hey, Sergeant Friday, while Kane's getting ready, just check the docket in Ada County. There hasn't been any additional filings in Coburger versus Idaho since the court order that Judge Hippler entered granting the transcript from the sentencing proceeding. So still waiting for the amended petition for post-conviction relief. Also, no one from the state has entered in appearances yet.
All right, you guys.
Yeah, here. Earlier when I did that big rendition about fingerprints compared it to a gun, what bothers me is that how is it that the government didn't know what to do with Cy Ray did? In other words, why would they stick with this haphazard argument of nothing that can't be connecting Kohlberger to the home during the time of the crime, and yet and then argue that they have no connection between him, the house, the people, their fucking ghosts, their ancestors, and yet Cy Ray comes out saying that all that information is available, they just didn't look at the right stuff. It
Well,
almost
that's why-
sounds ridiculously impossible.
Well, that's
Right?
why they didn't return his phone call. And when he says that he contacted them, the FBI probably laughed at him. They're not going to contact him. All of the people that were involved in that case, it took Cy Ray to get to the one piece of evidence that would put Koberger in the home when? Prior to the crimes?
The FBI doesn't use the lock bar. But how do you know that to be true, Twiz? And here's the thing. Why didn't the fucking then the Idaho State Police use it? See, this doesn't make any sense to me. That the FBI, with all of their secret backdoor wizardry, aren't smart enough to use a lock the board file or whatever the fuck you call it. It just doesn't make no sense. I know, but that's what Ray was hired to review. I know the FBI did. I know the ISP didn't do it. But you see, what I'm trying to say is, it's just another one of them things in this case that don't make no fucking sense. The only job those people had was to build the argument that Kohlberger was connected to victims with at home. And they only, they didn't use a file that was available to them. How do you explain that the FBI wasn't smart enough to use that fucking file? Yeah, see, I'm sorry. They sent the file to Maori. It's just a hard pill to take. I'm sorry. It just
Well,
is.
he basically said, when he was on the custody, oh, wait until you see all the evidence that comes out. The evidence is his opinion. I was expecting to see some hard evidence. Oh, a photograph of Koberger in the house. Oh, his fingerprints on the sliding glass door that they're hiding, or some video of him in suspect vehicle. It's all Cy Ray's interpretation. That means, you know what, an opinion is like anybody's, you know what, we all got one. He doesn't have anything other than what he thinks.
Well, I just find, listen, Yeah, well, here it comes. Twist. The FBI, with all their wizardry, wouldn't use GPS files to try to place a location on an individual, and they'll let the cops run around with some hocus pocus doesn't make anything information to go after somebody and arrest them and prosecute them with information that's lacking. I can't wrap my head around that. And Cy Ray, of all people, not the FBI, but Cy Ray. Well, I don't know. All right, I don't want to debate it. I just, their only job is to produce Brian Koberger's presence at the scene to confirm that the DNA is attached to this crime and it was placed there during the hours of 4:07 a.m. and 4:20 a.m. That's the only job they had. And if they couldn't do that, which we know they couldn't, then they had to show a connection between him and these victims. And apparently nobody knew about the goddamn GPS, just Cy Ray.
Well, I'm
Trying
sure
to
he'll
unmute
have an
you.
opportunity when he gets up on Judge Hippler's stand to explain all of this right before Hippler holds him in contempt of court and he gets thrown into the Ada County Jail.
That's too funny if that happens. I'll
No,
visit
I
him
mean,
if he goes to jail. I'll
You
sign
saw
up
his
on the visitor
affidavit.
list.
His affidavit was the most arrogant thing in the world. He is what's exculpatory evidence? Like he's an attorney and a judge. He's saying that this one violated the law. He's saying that he knows everything. It's like he's you're a phone expert. Stay in your lane. And he did it again during that interview with the G family, where he's this and that. That would be like the G family's expert witness appearing with Mr. Koberger and saying that the G family set up this entire thing. It's not done. Sarge, people are not recognizing the fact of what he did in terms of turning on the only reason why he had access to the case is that he was Mr. Koberger's client. And at the moment, giving him the benefit of the doubt, at the moment that he felt that he could no longer represent him, get on the stand and be his expert witness, he should have left the case. He wasn't there to now educate the world like he's some MIT professor. He was there to be Mr. Koberger's expert.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. If this evidence that he says regarding GP, whatever it is, the FBI would have found it. The FBI would have found it.
Well, that the FBI doesn't use it, it's just a comment. For God's sakes, it's almost like saying the FBI doesn't use cell phones.
If the FBI is so incompetent,
You know what I mean? In other words, it's digital data.
To get hired. If the FBI is so incompetent, what's he doing calling them trying to get hired?
Well, if the FBI has it in their possession, they understand the value of it. If it's all right, Twist. Let's get on to a different topic. Fuck Cy Ray. Imagine that. The FBI is smart enough to know that those files have some value because they've got them, but they just don't look at them. I don't even know, man.
Kane's ready to go. Kane's ready to go, Sarge.
I can't unmute somebody that's got themselves muted, Kane. He's a motherfucking guy. This is why I apparently
and get my mouse split up. All right, yeah, this is a little.
Apparently, I collaborate with you, Kane.
Yeah, well, you're gonna be glad you did.
Play it. Come on. Come on. Play
First you ice me, and then you put all this pressure on me. I tell you, it's no easy beating me. All right, let's do this. This is the key.
Lord only knows.
I'm gonna take this out because there's a little delay, and plus Sarge's kind of annoying. All right, so
Just get to the point.
You guys hear me okay?
Sarge, give Kane a minute. He's being his own guitar tech.
I'm relentless.
Let's hear it. Take some memory. Go ahead. I want to hear you.
And the beauty of it all, the sun comes shining through. Sorry, just learned that. Make the rainbows in my mind, and I think of you sometime, and I want to spend some time with you. just the two of us. Maybe if we try, just the two of us. You and I had it done before. I'm nervous right now.
Goldberger's favorite song.
Building castles in the sky, just the two of us. You and I. That's it. That was all. I just wanted to play a little bit for you. I had it so good before. I was like, they're gonna love it.
Kane, it's very hard to get up in front of people without a guitar tech, without any type of producer behind you,
I can
doing
hear
it all
Sarge
yourself.
laughing.
It is
enjoy
not.
that.
Quit making excuses for the guy. He's got listen. He's got Tyrannosaurus Rex arms, and he reaches around his gut. He can barely touch the guitar.
Stop, Sergeant. That's mean.
I know, but he could take it.
What did
He
he
talks
say?
shit about me dying and how old I am. I said those little Tyrannosaurus arms can't reach the guitar.
Oh,
You are a
No,
fucking mess, Kane.
that's a good song. I've had it better before. It was really good. I swear. This should have been here yesterday.
1-1. We got to hook up for some porterhouse steak.
One was an alien. He doesn't eat
Well, me-
human food.
We'll meet in the middle there, 1-1.
Here's one you know, Sergeant.
All right, what do you got to say about the Idaho 4?
Taking away the moments that make up a girl dip. I can't even do it right now. Forget it. I'm now you threw me all off my game. What do I have to say about
Kane,
Idaho
you know-
4?
The entertainment industry is a place for guys like you. It's called a broadcast booth in a radio station.
I thought you were going to say a different kind of booth, but okay, yeah, sure. Why not? We could try that too.
What other booth is there?
Kane, I for one enjoyed your presentation. It's very difficult to
I'm
get up
sorry,
in front
I didn't
of
do it
people
better.
ad hoc and play
I
a
just
song, and you sang.
Listen,
I had it so good that it was
I can
like
sing
chills.
too, but
I'm glad I didn't
I can
this
sing
for
too,
my
but I
audience.
don't think people want to hear me sing.
Well, why don't you do it, as I've said before, I came up with this idea, that someone should read the Koberger Manifesto over Kane, do a performance over Kane playing the guitar.
I got just a song for you.
Kane, what state are you in, Kane?
Drunken state.
Are you a drunk? What? No, really. What state? What area of the country?
Florida. I'm in Tampa Bay, Florida.
Are you anywhere near hurricanes or tornadoes? Because if not, I can help relocate you.
The first year I was moved into this trailer, I got hit by a hurricane. That's Twiz, yeah. If I'm not, you said? If I'm not near a hurricane? Well, right now there's no hurricanes anyway.
No, it's that season for hurricanes, right?
Yeah, no, it's peak season. It's in the middle of the season right now for hurricanes, actually.
Oh, I thought global warming was making it all worse. Excuse me.
Yeah, I don't know. I might need to relocate regardless with the way things are going right now. I'm gonna have to start busking on the streets in the 95-degree weather to keep afloat. You know, my sister gave me a bunch of stuff.
You should
yesterday,
move in
though.
with. You should move in with Twizzle Sticks.
That
You
was
and
the
Twiz
plan
should live
eventually.
together.
But we're gonna
You
move
got,
to
was it?
Amazon.
Yeah, it would be a
together.
good plan. You could be his wingman. Right?
I think you mean the
Not
other
only
way
that,
around,
listen. That's between you two. I don't know what you guys are going to do living together. It's none of our business. And you know what? We don't judge people in here.
Well, I had a
We just don't.
Airbnb
Judgment-free
reserved
zone
for
at Sergeant
for
Friday's
the,
house.
for the trial. We looked at them.
We should all we should all meet.
I hadn't reserved it. I was about to, and it got crazy expensive.
Well, I think you and Twiz would make perfect roommates. In all fairness, Twiz don't want to live in Florida, so you got to move out towards Twiz. That's all.
No, he hates Florida. I hate it too, man. It's the air is like, you know, when you open the oven, and there's like a couple dead bodies in there. And it's just like that smell and all that. But you know,
No.
Kathy, I went
Dead bodies in
after.
trunks up
I did a deep dive on the Ralston Purina people, and they're denying everything. They say they've never even heard of an Alpo plea, and they think I'm
Listen.
crazy. It was Friday afternoon, though. You know, you're trying to get out of the office.
How many bedrooms do you got down there? Maybe I'll come visit.
You can come visit. I never use the bedroom. It's a 1-bedroom. This is the studio here, and I got a kitchen and bathroom. JJ was just here.
Oh,
See, I told you. Listen.
for what?
That's what he wants to hear. He just wants to sing.
He's hitting all the chords, Sergeant Friday. It's not just one of them.
Ooh, what is it? All the chords?
Say what?
I do have little Muppet hands, though. It was a lot of challenge for me to learn how to play guitar.
Well, you got Tyrannosaurus Rex arm.
I don't have Tyrannosaurus
You got to reach around
Rex
you.
arm. You have a Velociraptor mouth, sir. How dare you?
That's true. I agree with you. Thank you. Any insult is a compliment, in my opinion.
Sarge, your mouth's like a Velociraptor. I don't know. I can't do that. Can't for real. What was the good chord?
Do you have anything productive to say about the Idaho 4?
Productive? Well, let me look at how I look right now and how many viewers I have.
He just said
yes.
he just said he did some research on the Alfred plea. Right, Kane? I think that went over everybody's head. You were kind of. Could you restate what you said? You made some calls.
I went after the Ralston Purina people about the Alpo plea, and it was Friday afternoon. Anyway, so I've worn that one out. We're I don't know. Right now, I think that it is very in the end results telling. If you add up all the interviews and you look at the lack of emotion, because you certainly have people that were very close to them, all seem to be along the same scripted tale or whatever, but very little emotion out of most of it, and within a few days of this horrible crime. And other people have pointed that out as well. And then you have a million. It's like the land of a million coincidences over there in Idaho. And
It is.
the real sit down and tell your grandchildren about this case part is Chief Fry in that U-Haul standing at the door, and then them tearing that house down as fast as they.
That was Kohlberger's U-Haul. What do you want to bet that was Kohlberger's U-Haul from Pennsylvania?
50 states.
Oh my God! Because how many people came
That's what-
from Pennsylvania? It was either his or
What do you want to bet that Kohlberger drove that U-Haul to Pennsylvania and his dad followed him in the car and then flew home?
That is another Sarge moment, ladies and gentlemen. This shit doesn't write itself,
The shit doesn't write itself, he says. And
Hey,
the
Kane,
sweets don't eat
so what
themselves.
are you
Kane.
thinking about this
Oh,
post?
you remind me that my brownies are ready. I'm sorry, Lynn. Go ahead, Kathy. I'm sorry.
Kane, I want to know what your opinion is. How you think Kohlberger going to be successful or no? He wants a trial.
Kohlberger is already doomed, no matter what. Even if he does win the case, what kind of life will he have outside of the case if he's free? He will always be known by that stigma attached. He got off on a technicality.
He's going to live with you.
I mean,
He's going to live with you. You're going to get that poster of him. You're going to take it off your bed.
Isn't it just it's just so wild now. Like, I was looking at some of the older Steve G interviews and stuff, and he seems like he was pretty wasted, even at the ones at home. And then now he's just like flying off the handle, so hardcore, and just it's just like, dude, please just shut up for your own good at this point. That drunk turkey interview was just so over the top. Have you watched it yet? By any chance, Sarge?
No, I won't watch the drunk turkey. I won't watch the drunk turkey.
I watched part of it. I couldn't watch all of it, and it seems like the propaganda's up. Just 360 right now. It reminded me of when the pretrial conference was happening, all the bad, all the negative press. I think that this is basically because they realize he's got a good shot. I mean, unless he messes up here with this amended petition, He's got a good. He hit all. He ticked all the
Steve knows
boxes.
they got a good shot.
Right. So now they got a.
Not only that, I don't like that. I don't like Daniel because he had that dude Big Blue, right, for years. They built the show together, and the show was built on him like taking advantage of Big. Let me finish. He was like overbearing on Big Blue, and he was the smarter one by comparison. He built the show, and the minute they made fun of him, and they really made fun of Big Blue in the mainstream media, Daniel not only switched from being a pro burger to a guilter, but he threw Big Blue in the gutter. And that, that just told me what kind of a fucking loser he is.
I always thought.
Anyway, so that's why I don't listen to Daniel.
Yeah, I thought it was a terrible because he had Jaime also was his partner, and they both never said anything. It was always like, "Hey, Big Blue, what do you think? Oh, whatever you said, have another beer." But it was like they were there always for him, and they gave up time with their families, this and that. And then I think once he got like the, I think it was mostly came from Paramount, the money for like Chronicles of Olivia, and a few other.
I want to say that Foxy Rose, I'm within 100 miles of where you said you're located. You said, I think you said something in New York, like Rochester, New York. I'm within 100 miles of there. And you got nothing on the screen but an M, so I'm not even sure that I can ask to meet up with you because, God only knows, you might show up looking like Kane. That would be terrifying.
What you need to do is find out whether Kiss Me Where I Pee is a girl or a boy. I don't know if that matters to you or not.
I've got pictures of Kiss Me that shows a female. Unless she changed her gender, she's a female.
So
I enlarged the pics and posted them up over my bed.
Oh, did you double
I'm
the
just
size?
saying. Well, more than that. I made a life-size image of her and put it up above my bed.
That if somebody ever wants to make me a
man's got to do what a man's got to do.
Listen, you got her, you got Lori. This is right here. This reminded me. My sister gave it to me. It reminds me of Suzanne B. Because if you ever see her avatar, this is just her walking on the beach. She's supposed to visit Largo here where I live, and we're gonna go to the beach together someday.
Why is everybody calling Kiss Me a boy? Look at Twiz is saying Kiss Me is a boy. You got to give her a blowjob.
It is a boy though. It's a boy.
That's a dude? No, it ain't. I got pictures.
He's not a guy.
What do you think of that? It's a signed picture.
Not a guy. I've talked to her.
Oh, you have? Careful with the fan stuff, Sarge. It never works out the way you want it to.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Are you? See, she said she's a woman. You got to take her word. Pictures are definitely feminine. I don't.
I was only teasing.
Better not have a bigger one than me there.
You'll find out real quick.
No, I won't.
I do. Frankenstein's all my no. No.
When the girl you meet says there's something, when the girl you meet says I have a topic that we need to rise, and her pants start growing, you got to run. There, he's getting a little better. For the background, you could just keep strumming the guitar.
I'm telling you, he is very talented. You should nourish it. You should nourish and encourage him, Sergeant. Not to tell you your own business, but artists are very
serious
sensitive.
to nourish, encourage some guy? No, we need him. We need him to be who he is. Everybody needs a Kane in their life.
I have to write a song about Sarge, and then we'll be complete. I have a song I'm working on called "That's What She Said," and it's all the stuff that she said.
Yeah.
But then you turn it around at the end, and it's like, "That's what she said, as I do," or something like that. It was a country song, so.
Loving Tip, we've been making that point. Well, listen, you can make a song about me. I mean, I'm sure it won't be as flattering as it should be, but I mean, you have go right ahead.
Something about like sitting by the pool, having a beer, got no worries because my retirement check's here. I don't know, something in a members only jacket.
There you go. I don't get
on the
I live off my own money. No, I'm too young to get a retirement check. Yeah, a few years. Then I'll
They
be
say
getting me
not to
Social
take it
Security.
at 62, right? So I don't know. But
They're wrong.
yeah, I
You're
think
wrong because if you add up the amount of money for the 5 years from 62 to 67, you won't live long enough to enjoy that by getting the bigger amount at 67.
Yeah.
Oh, is that
You
what
have to
you
live
should
so
wait till
long
67?
to get that money. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
5 years of income. Say the income every year is 18,000 times 5, right? That's 90,000. Well, you don't get that much more at 67, and are you gonna live long enough to make up for that 90,000? And the chances are probably not.
Listen, Linda's what? Are you saying that Kane should write a song and that Sergeant Friday should sing it regarding the Idaho court case? Sarge, look at that.
I don't think you
comment.
guys want me singing.
I would love to hear you sing. Accompanied by Kane on guitar. I paid for that.
I've never sang. I sing in the car along with music, and I've convinced myself I sound like the artist on the music, but that's just
There you go.
Sometimes you
Yeah.
do, like when you're wailing. Though I found the secret to, and I blew it tonight.
Yeah.
And I wasn't. I had stage fright because I knew Sarge was gonna rip on me, but is singing at a low volume because everybody thinks, oh, I have to sing. I have to project. You have a microphone right in front of you. All you have to do is be like,
yeah. You don't need to yell into the
crystal
microphone.
with no call, and the beauty of it all is I'll spend the time with you, just the two of us. I did have it good. I got his voice down pretty good. I have another one that's funny.
Who's the author? Who's the singer of that song?
It's what's his name? The guy who sings on Broadway. That's not. But it's a
What's
different
his name?
guy. I didn't recognize his name. Hold on. It's written by.
Well, you should find.
It's Grover
You should find his name and
Bill Withers wrote it though.
you should find his name and let him sing it.
Yeah,
That, you should find his name
I was
and
gonna
let him
do it
sing
so low that you can't hear it. Hey, all right. What's the motto with you?
it.
Thanks, Sarge.
You are entertaining. What we ought to do is we ought to go on stage together as a comedian.
Oh, dude, that would be too fucking hilarious, dude.
I decided if I was going to be a comedian, I'd pick on the audience. I just start ripping on people in the audience.
Like a insult comic, like Don Rickles. You're kind of.
Oh man, you see a guy with a little tuft of hair where there shouldn't be any. Everything else is gone, but he's got that little tuft in the front.
There you go.
That
Kane.
guy
Why
would be
don't you
pulling his
set up-
hair out before I was done with my.
Why don't you set up a virtual event with you and Sergeant Friday discussing the
No, I'm gonna
Idaho
fly up
court
to New
case?
York. It's
Then
only like
Sergeant Friday will tell a
$58
few
anyway.
jokes, and you'll play guitar.
Yeah, you could play guitar and I could rip on the audience. You could make a tune about the guy with no hair, right?
The Blue
Oh.
Indians.
The fat lady with a big plate of food in front of her.
You shouldn't talk about Detective Payne and the what's her face?
I
The
know. I've been trying
medical
to think of a
the medical
comedy
examiner.
act
Well,
thing.
I got-
you can do. with
I got it on good.
Idaho for it.
I got it on good authority that I got this on good authority that "Kiss Me Where I Pee" plays the skin flute real well.
I can't get to sleep. I think about those situations in Idaho so deep,
The skin flute.
especially the skin flutations, and especially at night. I worry over.
I don't know how
skin-
eggplants got.
Skin flute being too
How did
Look at this.
eggplants
Look,
become the
guys,
symbol for a
guys.
man's penis?
Guys, can I say
What?
something here? The audience wants to see this type of a variety show.
That would be
You're even
amazing.
suggesting it could be a gong show with audience
Oh,
participation.
dude, I want to be Chuck Barris then. Because I'm
No,
sure.
you gotta be the
I got
guitar
those
player.
velocity
No, no,
arms.
You gotta be
I
talented.
want to be the unknown comic. I want to be the unknown comic with Kane having the bag over his head.
I think that
Listen,
Jamie Farr
I'll be
was
the unknown
actually
comic. You wear the bag.
Um,
Funny act though.
sound like
I'm the
every
unknown comic and you
ex-girlfriend
wear the
that I have
bag.
now. You sound like every ex-girlfriend I've ever had.
Leah's saying, mute Kane, mute Kane. You're on a mute. There's a parade for you to be muted.
She likes the saddest songs. She only likes the
Unreal.
songs of when some metal or something's in there.
Oh, and we got 5 minutes. The
Yeah,
unknown
it's like
comic. You
now-
guys remember that dude? He wore a paper bag over his head.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I just like the way Chuck Barris carried himself. You know what I mean? He's just like, just looking at him, he's that big hairy guy in that tuxedo, sweating his ass off, and he said he was in the CIA. He thought he was in the CIA or something.
Who knows where he was? But I got a few more minutes before I shut down because there's standards there. Standards. It'd be a 2.5 hour stream already. That was a good show.
2.5 hours. Yeah, I was trying to get up here while the Cuck Kings were up here, but I didn't make it in time. Is 1-1 still in the chat?
No, 1-1 has work to do, and we're picking on those queens.
Well, I said the Cuck Kings. You know, like the Gypsy Kings.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I get it.
If you have to explain the joke, Sarge. But anyway, so yeah.
Well, listen.
I'm gonna eat my brownies then, and you two wrap it up with some intelligent, smart stuff about the case, and I'll catch you.
It was very, very nice of you to come
I'll
up.
probably be live tomorrow.
Oh wow! You cut him off like Chuck Barris, Sergeant Friday.
I cut him off like Chuck Barris. He's still rapping there. He doesn't realize it. He's still. I kicked him out of this.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
Bam.
as we head on out after that stellar performance by Kane, or not, if whatever your interpretation
the
is.
failed audition.
Yes.
You mean the failed audition?
Well,
Poor Kane.
yeah, music's and it's how you interpret and what you feel. But Sergeant Friday,
He's a very jovial guy.
I want to ask you what I asked Kane. What do you think?
I gave him the Irish goodbye.
Yeah. What's
I gotta
Koberger's
say,
chances
Kane-
of post-conviction relief? What's Koberger's chances of post-conviction
He's
relief?
gonna get it. He's gonna get it. He's got to get it. Absolutely gonna get it.
Do you think he's going to be free?
No, I don't think he's gonna be set free. He's gonna get post-conviction relief, but then they're gonna have they're gonna hold him. They're gonna charge him and have a trial again that they never had.
Okay, at the trial, do you think that there's, from what you've seen thus far, that there's evidence beyond a reasonable doubt?
No.
So
And they're
then
going to
he
have a
should-
problem if they try to introduce evidence. Listen, imagine if they try to show evidence that they didn't show in the first discovery.
Right.
They're going to have a problem introducing new evidence into this case, I think. I mean, what a mess. I think, and that's what I said when I first got involved with this case in February 2023. I said, this is a case that will end up being a murderer released from prison because these idiot Keystone cops can get nothing right.
Keystone cops. And
I mean, you can't show me a car and tell me who owns it.
I think that you made a
Pardon?
good point there, because I don't think any of us are out here to say that he's innocent, because we don't know. We don't know him. We weren't there.
Yeah.
That's what the trial's for.
And we as a
So,
nation, listen, I hate to say it, but we as a nation deserve that. We deserve that result. If this kid did it, we need him to be set free because we don't pay enough attention and hold our leaders to account.
Right.
And this, maybe people will start, maybe it won't change anything. But the problem here isn't the system, it's the people that work it. Period.
Oh, 100%.
It's system's perfect.
The system as
Right,
it's
I
set
mean-
up is absolutely, it's the best in the world. It's who's in charge. Like people say, oh, they should throw judge. Do you know how hard it is to try to get a judge tossed from a case when he's appointed by the
It's
Supreme
insane.
Court of the state? And then
You have to
we'll sue
impeach him
Hitler.
first.
You
Yeah,
can't. You can't sue Hitler. He's got absolute immunity. So does the prosecution. The only hope he has, is in. I think that what I don't tend to agree with Kane is that if he's released, then where's he going to go? He can then do some civil cases and go after people, and just like other people who have done,
Right.
and make the money that way. It's a hard way to do it. But I'm sure that there will be civil attorneys that would want to take that up if he is released one day. But the problem is this isn't going to happen overnight. This is going to be the next few years that he's going to be tied up. He's what, 31 now? Maybe by the time he's late 30s, 40 maybe, this will be done if it's got to go to the Supreme Court. What do you think, Sarge?
I think he gets acquitted in any trial that eventually comes forward.
So
And I
whether
think
the
what
trial,
happens is you're going to see all this evidence, all the evidence that they purport to use against the guy was acquired unlawfully. Fruit from the poison
right?
tree.
It
Just
it
walk.
starts it starts with the foundation. Don't you agree, Sarge? The PCA.
Yeah,
It
it has
starts
to. It
with
has
the
to start with the
PCA.
initial moment you charge this guy.
Let me
Yeah,
ask you a question.
you can't ignore that.
Let me ask you a question, Sarge. Do you feel that they rushed to get that PCA out because they needed to get somebody arrested before school started for the January semester?
That may have been one point, but I think that's maybe too specific. I
Right.
think they needed to make an arrest because they needed to keep their community in one piece.
Keep it in one piece.
And I think every police department has that on their mind. So I don't think that is a net negative, but it is a net negative when tunnel vision takes over.
Right,
And
right.
you
And you're
focus on one suspect when you've got five, you got all this DNA you didn't test, you didn't run it to ground. It's not like you can't. You proved you could do it with skin cells. How come you can't do it with a drop of blood? I mean,
Fo-
and why pick that particular sample over the blood that was found on that sheath? That's
I know.
perplexing.
Hey, Foxy Rose
I
is
got two cotton
wondering.
swabs with
I
what's
know.
that?
Foxy Rose was wondering
I,
for how long would it take? Now we did a research,
oh
little
yeah, years.
research project using Garza versus Idaho, the case that Hitler referred to. Garza versus Idaho came out of Ada County, and he filed for post-conviction relief in 2015, and he didn't get it at the district court level, so then he went to the Supreme Court of Idaho. They turned him down. He went to the United States Supreme Court. They ruled in his favor. Then he had to go back and go to that took 4 years. It took 4 years. And then if there's a trial, you figure a couple more years. So that's why I'm thinking he's unless Hitler does like this first time around, grants him a trial and he's acquitted at that time, it's going to be a long, long shot.
I don't think he's going to be acquitted. I think that during the discovery process, this is going to fall apart.
Yeah.
Emotions.
Are you okay, Sarge?
Oh yeah.
So anyway, yeah, there's nothing on the docket today. It's weekend, so we're going into next week. We're getting into the end of August, and the next couple of weeks will be really interesting to see when the state. It's going to be the Attorney General's office. It's not going to be the Latah County prosecutor, and so I'm predicting it's probably going to be Jeff Nye, because Jeff knows the underlying case. He's still with the Attorney General's office. Hewitt left. He left. Hurwitz. He left. So
Right.
we'll see what happens in the next few weeks. But a lot of it's going to depend,
So,
Sarge.
somebody.
I think.
On what?
Sorry, Sarge.
No, no. You think it's going to depend on what?
It's going to depend on how well this new attorney that Koberger has, and I think Koberger is very much involved in this and putting it together now. How well they put together this amended petition. They got to file an amended petition with all the bells and whistles, with the affidavits in support, and with citations to case law, because what Koberger did was very good for a pro se person, but it's not going to, it won't survive a motion to dismiss. So it's going to depend on whatever this amended petition is.
I think it would be in Brian Koberger's best interest to ask some trusted streamers out here that have this capacity to research to assist. And I don't think there'd be anything wrong with him doing that. And they should keep it to themselves if that request comes across to them, and produce and help produce the documents and the counter arguments to what these documents are showing, and make it easier for him, because that's he's at a point. I think that Molly McMichael leak was devastating, right? That happened just before the plea deal. I think what you're going to find is that those are the issues that force Hitler to let him have a trial. And I think that you'll find through trial that the real problem now is going to be on the state, that there's going to be much more scrutiny placed on the state. Especially, I would open up as a defense attorney, my opening statement would be a recording of Bill Thompson's closing arguments at the plea deal. That's how I would open up my case. This isn't me arguing. We're not going to prove this. They've already proved it for you. And here's what they said. And I would play that as an opening statement. Let the state justify what the state did. Let them explain to it. Let them show the legalities of what they did and didn't do. And that's going to set this gentleman free over time.
Do you have any? Did you watch the sentencing? I mean, I know it's over a year. This might be an unfair question, but did you watch the sentencing proceeding?
I did.
Do you? Because
Yeah.
that is, I don't know why he didn't ask for both transcript. I was thinking he would ask from change of plea and sentencing, because that's what post-conviction relief does. It attacks the sentence, and this is not a full appeal like we're seeing in the Indiana case. Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, but isn't he limited to what he can request under the? Isn't he limited to what he can review and present to the court?
Exactly, because this is
In
not
this
a full
process?
appeal. This is not a full appeal. You can't go back to the beginning of the
Right,
case.
right.
And that would be something that
Right.
he would, no, it's the sentence. That's why it's called post-conviction. It attacks the conviction. So I want to know, do you have any thoughts as to what happened during sentencing that would have caused Koberger to ask for the transcript from the sentencing proceeding only, and not also change of plea, because the change of plea led to
Well, I think the
sentencing.
sentencing is when Bill Thompson stated what he stated.
Yes, he did.
Isn't that what he did? Right.
Didn't he?
And so here's the. No, the change of plea. They did a change of plea. He did or did he do it then?
No.
Did he do it at the sentencing, Bill Thompson, or did he do it
He
at the plea?
definitely did. He definitely did at sentencing, because he stood up. This is what the state would have presented as to count 1, count 2, count 3, count 4, and count 5, and that's
Right.
That's when he said, "We have no evidence of him breaking the barrier, coming
Any
into
contact
the
between
house.
Koberger and the
It was
victim.
burglary
Yeah.
with the intent to commit a felony. That's why it's 10 years and not 2. It was burglary with the intent to commit a felony. And he said, we have no evidence placing him in the house, and we don't think that he intended to kill all of the victims. So then it's like, well, then it's not first degree.
Right.
You don't have, you need intention. So it was intent to cross that barrier, whether you believe it was the slider, whether it was the front door, wherever it was at. He went in there with the intention to commit another felony, i.e., in this case, it was the unalivings of the 4 students. Maybe, Sarge, you've hit the nail on the head here. It will be very, very interesting to see, because when this amended petition comes out, he's going to be citing to the transcript, and that transcript is going to be in the record for Hitler to rule on, and also if he's got to go up the ladder for an appeal. And so what you're thinking, it's
not only that. Listen. You can combine that with the discovery that was dumped in the defense's lap prior to the plea deal. There's more information that was not allotted to me, Your Honor, and combined with that and the fact that now that we've reviewed it, what Mr. Thompson said is only half of the truth. The full truth is they not only have nothing, they have worse than nothing. They lied.
Well,
I think you could roll over it and force a trial. I really think that there's a shot for him to do this. Because,
I do too. I do too. I'm putting my odds right here at 70%. At 70%, I'm putting my odds that he gets a trial at 70%.
Yeah, part of my odds are that. Part of my odds. My shortcoming is I give people the benefit of the doubt until they say that they're not worthy of it. But I think when you read the documents, knowing what we know, I think it's reasonable to be fair-minded that this will go further beyond this, because Hitler's going to rule that way. I don't hate Hitler because of his ruling. I suspect some of the rulings that were made should not have been argued, and what was argued wasn't argued in the way they should have been. Right? We can argue about. In science, we can argue what gravity is back and forth, but there's a way to bring an argument, and there's an angle that you present.
Right. And
so you and I can argue about the validity of the DNA. She's arguing about it through the testing process, and that shouldn't have been the argument. It should have been through the chain of custody process.
Oh,
and
the chain of custody. The chain of custody is crazy.
Right.
No doubt. No doubt. Any defense.
So she should have done a little different argument, and I wouldn't have argued. I never would have argued for them not to call him a psychopath. I would then use that against them if they'd have said that on somebody on the stand. I'd have used it against a witness. I'd have looked at the jury. If anyone of you were ever charged with a crime, remember, you're a psychopath before you're ever going to be convicted. Is that what you're telling to the jury, sir? Is that what you're saying to my client? I would ruin somebody if they. I don't know why she argued for that. Why did she argue for a change of fucking location? She shouldn't have done that either. Even the judge himself said this is awful early in the process to do this.
Yeah, it was
Right?
January 24 when they filed the motion for change of venue.
Yeah.
And Sarge, you know what that meant? That meant they spent the entire up to September of 24 on that topic rather than working up reasonable doubt, rather than the chain of custody on the sheet, rather than getting out boots on the ground,
Right.
talking to witnesses, looking at a witness like this girl who they just, what's her name? She thinks that Ethan may have had a visitor at what, 3:30 a.m. at 11:22, possibly. That Zan and Ethan, she saw them at 2 in the morning at Sigma Chi. When the PCA says that, oh no, they were home at 1:45 a.m. They're arguing for change of venue. So much time was put into that. That's time they couldn't get back.
But even in a trial, if he can get a trial, that stuff isn't even the important stuff. The important questions are going to come down to how did Ethan stand by and watch Zaina? How do you say you chased Zaina to the room, which implies that Ethan is alive, and then slaughter her like that, and Ethan didn't do anything? I mean, right. This. If you're the expert and you wrote what that woman wrote, I'd say can you please explain to me what Ethan's role was in? Was he sleeping? Is that what you're arguing? Why this young woman was slaughtered?
Sergeant Friday.
Or was Ethan killed first? I would attack everything, and the jury would be left with their head spinning, thinking, "Wait a minute, how could that 6'4" kid, 228 pound, not defend his girlfriend?"
How could Ethan
clearly he didn't kill her?
How could Ethan not be alive when she's running into the room? Because the state's theory is that he parked the car somewhere around 407, goes in, and then goes up to the second floor. Ethan, unless there's somebody else in the house attending to Ethan, Ethan's still alive, right? So I
think Ethan was dead before Zaina got home.
The only possibility.
Ethan was killed before Zaina showed up would make more sense than anything else in the world.
Right.
And she walked into a bedroom where the perpetrators were already present. Yep.
The only other possibility.
That's the only way it would make sense. Or they were both in that room. They were both in that room and they were threatening Ethan's life for Zaina to cough up information or something. And then once they stabbed Ethan and started to attack Ethan, that's when I think Zaina jumped into action, and then she wrestled and struggled with the second perpetrator. There's no way you can explain that fighting in that room.
If there's two of them.
Well, not two women. You had a 6'3" guy and you had a woman. How do you do that? The whole crime scene is an impossible task. I don't care if it was 20 minutes or an hour. How do you overcome attacking Zaina first?
The only way
you can't make reasonable sense of that.
Perpetrators in Zaina. The only way one attending, at least two, one tending to Ethan, one tending to Zaina. Because if Ethan's still alive, and he would have to be,
or if it was one. Listen, Kathy. It could have been one. But it still ruins their explanation, because if it were one, that means that they killed Ethan independently of Zaina.
Right, because how could
you're not following me?
Imagine. Okay, their theory. Let's just go with their theory. Their theory is coming downstairs. He chases that around, the pong table, down the hall, into her room. Ethan must be alive, per their theory, because the perpetrator did not go into Zaina's room to kill Ethan. The perpetrator went upstairs. So if it's one person, you got Ethan in the bed, you got Zaina, and Ethan's just going to lie there and do nothing, or you're going to attack Ethan, and Zaina's not going to jump on your back, not going to scream, not call 911, not run out. It doesn't make any sense. There had to have been. Either he was unalived first, or there were multiple perpetrators. That's it. It's the only way this timeline and these injuries fits, Arch. There's no other way around it in that short time frame. One person.
Listen, and we also, you could rearrange that crime scene in so many different ways that make more sense. We know that all the girls were upstairs in Maddie's room.
Right, at 2:00.
We do know that, right?
From Judge Hippler. That's in the Judge Hippler
Yep.
order. That's upstairs.
How is it then that we can be assured that listen, how do we know that rear sliding door wasn't unlocked at that point on the third floor and entry came from there? How is it that a perpetrator could be up with Maddie while Zana or Kaylee is playing with the dog by the kitchen?
Right.
Think this through. How did the perpetrator get in the property? It's not the second floor sliding glass door, but it is a sliding glass door. And I suggest it's the third story. They climbed up on that deck and came in through there because that door had been opened. It had been unlocked for access. When the two young girls then claimed they went downstairs, Kaylee came downstairs too, right? And whatever they did, blah, 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 blah. Then Dylan's telling us she hears Katie run up the stairs or go up the stairs. There's someone here. How the fuck did they get past Kaylee? That doesn't make sense.
Is she
I don't doubt that there was
playing
somebody
with her
there. I don't doubt it. But she on the second floor. How did the perpetrator get around her and get to Maddie without being noticed?
She's supposed
He had to come in through the third floor, or he had to have been up there the whole time.
She's supposedly playing with the dog.
He may
on
have
the
preceded
second
the
floor.
entry in the home. I'm sorry?
She's supposedly playing with
What?
the dog by Dylan's testimony on the second floor. The PCA makes
Right.
it sound
Now-
like she was
now explain.
upstairs. But Dylan said she's on the second floor playing with the dog. So
Correct.
what is she? So you're right. How does the perpetrator get in and get by her? She's gonna go right past the perpetrator, run up to the third
Quiz. Wait,
floor,
wait,
and
wait.
someone's here, and then what she
Quiz,
do?
you're
She's
wrong.
Continue to run upstairs and jump in bed where she's killed.
Twiz, that's not true what you're saying. Dylan stated that she heard Kaylee playing with her dog and listening to the music, and then she went up the stairs and said, "Good night, I'm going to bed," and then screamed, "There's someone here," and ran back down the stairs. I'm sorry, you're wrong. That's not what was told to us. The witness, if you want to take her at her face value, and by taking her at face value, the question has to be, how did the perpetrator get past Kaylee? And if Kaylee was the target, why would he have bypassed her while she was openly available on the second floor to go up and kill Maddie? It makes no sense. It can't play out the way the stories that are being told and perpetuated. And so you can tear apart everything that they say. You can accept Dylan's statement. That's what they're using against you. Accept it at face value. We shouldn't be arguing whether Dylan lied or not. This is the case presented against the accused. What we should be doing is looking for reasonable doubt. And in this case, what I'm pointing out to you with Kaylee, it's undeniable, reasonable doubt that it could not have happened that way. That the perpetrator could not have gained access through the sliding glass door and made it to the third floor without Kaylee noticing him. Just not
On the
possible.
second floor. Sarge, let's just.
And even if Kaylee says, listen, even if Kaylee, wait. If Kaylee says maybe it was Xana, it still doesn't pass the test of how did they get by her? Only to come back down later to kill her.
Why is Dylan telling Nunez that Kaylee is who's dead in Xana's bedroom? If she didn't really believe that it was Kaylee who's running, someone's here, heard her crying, and she's in that bedroom. She never said to Nunez.
That
"Oh, she's
officer
up
took
on the third
Kaylee to
floor."
be, yes.
Right?
And they never even asked them to check the third floor. If you notice, none of the people outside, including the survivors, mentioned the two girls on the first and the third floor. Never brought them up at all.
Not one time.
The
And
cops
their
stumbled
cars-
onto them.
Hey, Sergeant Friday, their cars are sitting right there. It's obvious they didn't go. It's obvious they didn't get in the car and go to Starbucks or go see. Their cars are parked there. They weren't.
Well, why didn't the
responding
cop-
all night long?
listen.
Why didn't anybody ask about who's up on the third? Where's Kaylee and Madison? If we believe, well, where's Xana and Madison? If Dylan believes that it was Xana who was dead on the second floor, it was never asked, not once. And then all of a sudden, oh well, we have four. Then they're all like, "Oh my God, we didn't know." Well, where did you think they were?
Twiz. It's not what Dylan Mortensen said. She heard her run downstairs and then she heard her in the bathroom and somebody said to her, "It's okay, I'm help." How could Kaylee run upstairs and then be the person that ran downstairs and ended up in the bathroom? I'm almost positive what Dylan stated was she heard her say she was going to bed, then she yelled, "There's someone here," and she ran down the stairs. You're
Ran
listening to
down
what
the
Ann
stairs.
Taylor kept saying. That there's no way she could have ran down the stairs because we know she never left her room after the bloodletting. That's Ann Taylor's statement to the court, but that contradicts. She was trying to contradict Dylan's statement, and Dylan's statement is wrong. She gives you a series of events that stack one on top of the other, and that's what he was. That's part of the case the prosecution was going to present.
Well, that
sequence of events is impossible.
The one thing that was consistent is her belief that Kaylee ran down the stairs. There's some, irrespective. It was Payne who changed her testimony. Oh, it could have been Xana too. When do cops do that?
Correct.
You take what the witnesses tell you and you work with it. You don't say, oh well, she's wrong, but she's right about the other areas that fit our scenario, but she's wrong here. She 100% thought that it was Kaylee who she heard. And as a woman, you're living with somebody, you're gonna know what Kaylee's voice sounds like versus what Xana's voice sounds like. Listen to them; they don't sound alike. And
it doesn't matter what we believe. This is the other thing too, Cather.
It's what DM said.
He's trying to fill in blanks that are contradicting. It's what Dylan Morrison states as a witness. I don't really care what people think of her validity of the statement. That statement shows reasonable doubt, and it shows what she's telling you, happening in the order that she states, could not allow for a person entering the second floor through the sliding glass door.
All right, let's play devil's
because
advocate.
She got to the top of the stairs and said, "There's somebody here.
There's someone here." All right. So what's she going to do? Let's do the alternate argument.
She heard her
here,
playing with the
Sarge.
dog. Wait,
let's do
get
the
her whole
alternate
statement.
argument here, Sarge, that she was up on the third floor. What's she going to do? She's going to come out and say, "There's someone here up on the third floor." Run downstairs, say there's someone here, and then run back up and jump in bed to get killed. When does that make any sense?
No, apparently she said that. He's implying that she said there's someone here and ran upstairs.
Why would she do that if there was someone there? Why would you run upstairs and be killed? What, she's running downstairs to say there's someone here on the first floor?
See, Dylan's statement is... She didn't yell at the door to say shut up. That's another rumor. Go look at the statements she makes when she opens up the door.
PCA. It was never in the PCA, and it was never in any of her statements.
I don't think it was in any of her interviews. It was in none of her statements either. And that's what you're using to prosecute Goldberger with, are the exact statements. Yeah, she opened the door, but she yelled out. Yeah,
no,
that was in the very beginning.
It was another rumor when she said, "Oh, I opened the door." Where is that in any court document? That's a rumor. That's why we got to go with the documents, because that's what he's.
How about when they said the other rumor was she
documents in the record?
The other rumor, she peeked out her door. There was a rumor she peeked out her door. Why would someone open up their door and peek out of it? And if they did peek out of it, let me tell you, the only location she could have seen this guy is coming from the common towards her.
Right.
That's the only way, because her door opened from left to right.
The way the door opened.
Yeah, it opened in a way that if you were going to peek out, you'd have to open it up a long ways to see the kitchen. Right? I think that the case that they presented against Brian Koberger is unwinnable in a trial. I always am 100% positive you could not convince a jury that the information they collected and the way that they argue that crime took place, that beyond a reasonable doubt, no way.
Well, yeah, I mean, do people understand?
And I'll accept what Dylan says because it's in writing.
It's not preponderance of the evidence. Right. It's not a civil case where it's happened. It is beyond a reasonable doubt. You have to have so much evidence. Let's see what they don't have. Dylan can't identify Koberger as being the man clad in black. There's an absence of DNA in that house from him. There's an absence of DNA in suspect vehicle 1. There's an absence of DNA in the apartment. When I say DNA, his DNA left at the crime scene and their DNA taken from him. What do we have? We have phone pings. We have some ambiguous. We have a 2-year law enforcement official, based on my experience, to try to fill in a gap where the car disappears and then it comes out. You need hardcore, and you need a lot of it to get at that level. Where is it?
Well, even worse, what he's saying is just not. It's not correct, because when you read through the accusatory documents and the witness statements that don't support what's in those documents. Any evidence, therefore, collected by way of warrant based on that arrest is fruit from the poison tree. I don't care if Cy Ray has got every bit of fucking data ever collected in all of humanity that points to Brian Kohlberger. The fact of the matter is that's not what you used at trial, and what you used to get a hold of that wasn't done correctly. The data dumped from the tower, the research inside of a database for DNA. None of that should be admissible in court because it's completely against the Constitution of all those people that you ran an analysis against. You can't just check my whole neighborhood for one drug dealer. You can't check multi-millions of people's DNA to find one killer unless it's in a database that law enforcement has absolute authority to use. Okay? Because you were compelled with a conviction as a felon and or you willingly as a citizen allow your DNA to be compared.
Right.
That whole bit of evidence is completely fruit from the poison tree. The identity of the DNA should be excluded. So should any cell phone, any information used from that cell phone tower dump. Yeah, I know they're saying it wasn't used against BK. They're saying he wasn't in that dump, right? Which is again more exculpatory evidence to Brian.
Right.
Everything they argue against is exculpatory to the defendant. You couldn't find him for 2 hours. Well, then I don't want to hear hocus pocus, pudding pie, right? Put a stick in my eye. That's not how it works.
You need hard evidence. You need a picture of him going into the house. You need to be able to see him in suspect vehicle 1, pick up his license plate, like you were saying there, Sergeant Friday. What about his WSU sticker on that car? Something like that. You need
anything.
You need witness saying yes, it's him. And the only person who could identify him supposedly is Dylan, and she said she couldn't identify him. We think Cy Ray's going to come in and win this case? He might not even testify. You know, everybody's, Cy Ray's going to come in and he's going to win the case for the prosecution. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Number one, I think Hitler is the judge, the trier of the law. And if he finds out that he had any involvement in that leak to the media, I'm not saying he did, I don't know. But just the fact that he jumped ship the way he did, that's not ethical. It's not done. He wasn't there to go in there and be an MIT professor and crack the case. He was there to be a defense witness, an expert witness. It's the only reason. He's not a fact witness, so he's an expert witness. He's not the state's witness. He was BK's witness.
Here's how this was supposed to work. And the Keystone Cops just doesn't fucking understand it. Okay? The DNA was never supposed to be used in a court of law. Ever. Ever.
Right.
Okay? The FBI knew that. They knew that when they did what they did.
You know
that's why they told him it was a tip. What they were telling them to do was, this is the information we have. Brian Christopher Kohlberger. What the cops were supposed to do was to create an airtight case showing his presence at that property at that time. And they can't do it. So what they did was, they created a conspiracy theory and a story. And then they leaked key information to the media. And they convinced everybody he was the perpetrator. But they cannot, with a single solid fact, place Brian Kohlberger at that home during the hours of 2:54 a.m. and 4:48 a.m.
100%, not beyond a reasonable doubt. Sergeant Friday, you just made what I think was a brilliant point. It reminded me of the affidavit of probable cause. Do you think Payne did have the sheath and the testing in the PCA? Do you think? They said this was never supposed to come out here. Do you think maybe they went to Megan Marshall one time and she didn't see enough there and told come back as they will do, and then they put in the sheath? There's possibility that that's what happened.
Or I think better than that. I don't think they took that to Megan Marshall for her to tell them to come back. I think what happened was those Brady assholes above him, okay, that were telling him what to put in the PCA, are the ones that put this together and sent it to Megan Marshall with the DNA, knowing that they shouldn't have used the DNA in the warrant. They were told specifically not to, and they did it anyway. And not only that, further warrants, when they were applied for, I don't think it was this warrant, it may have been the next warrant, they asked for the judge to approve the warrant without considering the DNA. because they're concerned that the DNA will be contested in a court down the road. They fucking said it because they knew the truth.
Why'd they put it in the
Their
PCA then? Why'd they
Well,
put it in the PCA if they knew?
See, this is what I mean. Give me that case and let me go past the bar, and I'll get that kid out of jail in a heartbeat.
You could be a pro hoc vice for Koberger. No, I mean, you need. Where is the evidence beyond a I don't know if
There isn't any. There's none.
What I do know is our Constitution says you need to have evidence beyond a reasonable doubt, and that is a high evidentiary standard.
And now imagine
Cy
this.
Ray is not going to win this case.
No.
Cy
But
Ray
here's
is
the best thing
probably
about Cy Ray.
banned from this case.
Here's the best thing about that guy.
What?
He could show us in a fucking PowerPoint presentation the exact location of Brian Koberger in that home 5,000 fucking times, and guess what? The data he relied on to come to those conclusions is inadmissible. It's fruit from the poison tree. I don't give a fuck. That was collected during the investigative process of Brian Christopher Koberger on a charge that they made against him on felonious information.
Yeah.
So any evidence that you pull from this case can't be used down the road. If you didn't use it once, you're not going to be able to use it later, is my point.
Yeah.
Because it comes from the same shitstorm of bullshit.
And anything here, like people say, oh, well, he admitted guilt and he stood up in open court, and they're thinking they're going to be able to use all that evidence, play a video of him on the. No, they're not. If he gets a new trial, all that gets thrown out. They can't even mention it. They mention it to the jury. It is an immediate mistrial, 100%. So what do they have? They can't say that he pled guilty. Oh, everything that we keep hearing. Everything that, well, he pled guilty, Kathy, but he pled guilty. I know he pled guilty. Are you seeing what he's saying in post-conviction relief? That he was taught, that he didn't want to, that he was talked into it, that he wanted to go to trial, that he maintained his innocence, just like he said at the very beginning, running back to Idaho because he wanted to be exonerated. And now he's saying he's innocent. And he's saying that his team withheld exculpatory evidence from him. Cy Ray doesn't get to decide what he's going to plead. It's not even his defense attorney. It is him. He went to them because they're the experts, supposedly. But it's up to him ultimately. And if they withheld, if Turvey is, why would Turvey lie? Sarge, why would Turvey lie? And we know what seems up here because she stood up there and she said she had all the discovery she needed after 2.5+ years of saying she didn't, and discovery was still coming in about who.
Her previous court hearing said she didn't. And the fact is, this judge would not allow her to go after the defense or the prosecution. The defense should have been held to account.
Yeah.
You have 60 terabytes of data. How many terabytes are you giving them? How many? We'll have to look. Well, I want to know. You're going to call me tonight. You're going to leave a message in my chambers. And if it isn't 68 terabytes, we're going to have a problem, Mr. Thompson. Right? How is it that you're giving this woman 10 million documents out of order? You got a parked car and a lot in WSU tied into a video connected to a fucking car over on Debbie Lane or whatever. I mean, it's crazy.
And what's she doing taking on it? Hitler called her out on it one time. It was like in March or April, around that time, when she was saying, I don't have enough time to go over the discovery. They're handing it to me like a needle in a haystack. The one piece about that I need, I got to go through, and I'm going through everything. And he says, well, why'd you take on the second DP case? Why'd you take on the Ty Vermeer case?
Well, why? How many different people do you represent, Your Honor? How many cases do you preside over? Are you supposed to preside over one case and that's it? I got a job to do, sir. And my job isn't totally just one client. I can't survive on one client, nor can you survive on one case. I would have pushed back on that, but she
made $8 million on this case. How much money you need to make?
I don't know that we don't know.
They're saying that.
I know, but we don't know. We don't know for sure. We'd have to see.
If she's what is it, $200 an hour to put together one of those motions that she lost, much less 10, much less 20, much less 30. Hell of a lot of time to put them documents together.
Well, but she wasn't putting in 40 hours a week. That's 8,000 a week, right?
No, maybe she should have been. coming up to trial.
What do
They
you got,
don't sleep.
104?
They don't sleep. I mean, to get to your post trial. But in any event, Sarge, it's what was he told?
Listen,
Why did he plead guilty? What was he relying on? And if there was key
she could
evidence
have
that
at most billed, listen, Kathy, if she billed 40 hours a week for 128 weeks, it would have been $1 million. $1,025,000. The math doesn't support the 8 million. I don't know. That's what I mean. I don't even want to know what she got until the paperwork comes out. But I suspect she earned upwards of $1 million plus, but not 8.
well,
Unless
why
they were
she,
giving
why
were they
she,
giving
why
her
she
600
fighting?
an hour?
Why is
Were
she
they paying?
fighting having those documents out? This is financial information. It's not the advice that she gave. It's what she billed. Why is she hiding it?
I don't know.
Why is she fighting and billing and she's getting paid for fighting it because she's still representing Koberger. She's saying that it's supposed to be something that's to his benefit, and she's his defense attorney.
But at 200 an hour, she would have had to work, 80 hours a week would still only have her a couple of million.
Fine, okay, then don't fight having your bills.
No,
out.
I know, but
That's the
let's
problem.
wait to see what they release, and if I mean, I think people, to me, the money is not even an issue. It's secondary. It's not as if the state don't have a rotten $8 million.
No doubt, no
Right.
doubt. I'd like to know what they paid. Oh
Well, they were paying lawyers. You heard Turvey. You could get 150 to 200,000 as a state expert.
No, I want to know what the equivalent, because Josh Hurwitz and Bill Thompson isn't there working for free. They get a salary. They get benefits. What's the prorated hours that they worked on this?
Didn't she leave and go as an independent? Didn't she leave there to become an independent lawyer?
She was the, and then what about, the stuff at the beginning of the case that she represented, or her the public defender's office there at Kootenai, wherever she was, represented the mother of one of the victims, Zana. She was for years, 2 decades, she was the public defender for Kootenai County, and then she left to open up her own shop, and then she started to build. First thing out of her mouth after change of venue at the hearing before Hippler, where he said, "Oh, I'd like to say I was happy to be here, but why start things off with an untruth?" She asked about her bills. She says, "We haven't been paid." They had to go into the secret hearing with the money judge that followed them from Latah County.
Right. Well, was she an independent law firm at that point?
She was an independent law firm. It happened when they were in Latah County.
Then she may have been getting 600 an hour. Maybe more.
I don't know. I don't understand what the problem is.
Yeah. I think that's where the problem is. The problem is that once she became an independent, she was no longer restrained by state wages to a public defender. And so when she moved off and Brian kept her, the state started paying her law firm independently, which could be $600 to $1,000 an hour. Right?
Well,
but what did you do with what I would want to know where their billing is, and Hippler alluded to it. There's more people that were available. There were more people that could have helped you. Why didn't you ask for it? And that may be the problem with the billing. She didn't want to spend her money on fucking people to help her.
Well, no, it's not just that. It's also paralegals.
Right. That's what I mean.
You know that a lot of the preparation work are done by paralegals, and what law firms will do. Let's just say $200 for the attorney, $75 for the paralegal. It seems to me she wanted to look at every document so she could bill at the attorney's rate and not have just $75 come in for a paralegal or whatever it was. I'm just saying that this is a money business. Lawyers are in business to make money, just like anybody else.
Yeah.
Look at the financial aspects of it, Sarge, and ask the question: why is she hiding her bills? Why is she fighting so hard?
She made a lot of money, more likely, right?
Trying to get her bills for what?
She made a lot of money, but that's really the issue. Isn't how much money she made; it's how ineffective she was. That's why I don't care about the money. I don't. She could have billed him $100 million. I really don't care. But she did $4 worth of fucking work, right? So it's not how much. I agree with Turvey. It's not how much you spend; it's the results that you were given for that amount of money. And the results don't match the amount of money spent. There's no argument about that.
Well, it goes back because I think that, in my opinion, I'm just giving my opinion here, they wasted a heck of a lot of time on stupid things.
I think
like that change of venue, that dominated events in 24. Just look at the docket.
No, I know. That should never have been an issue. Huh? He would have been further ahead with Judge too. He was a better judge.
Well, and then to agree to suspend the preliminary hearing.
It
The
is.
preliminary hearing, once he came back willingly from Pennsylvania, needed to happen within 14 days of the date because he was incarcerated. What type of a defense of a situation do you think that the prosecution would have put on in January before they had any warrants back? Even assuming those warrant nothing.
Nothing. They'd have had nothing. You know what they would have had? We searched his
What?
apartment. We found nothing. We searched his
No,
place
I
of
mean,
work. We found nothing. We searched his car. We found nothing. We searched his asshole. We found nothing. Right? We went in through his ear and came out his ass and found nothing. I mean, so the preliminary hearing in this case would have been crushed because there was no evidence to support his presence at the property.
Yeah, I mean, so what might have happened? Okay, then it gets dismissed without prejudice. They can come back and file it, but it's still, you either have the evidence or you don't. It's
Not only that, at that point in time, though, she also could have destroyed the sheath. It was found on the floor in a report. There's a picture of it on the bed, Your Honor. Was the sheath even part of the crime scene? Where did the sheath come from? Did the police bring it with them?
Who found the sheath? Sarge, who found the sheath?
I forget the guy's name.
You know what the answer to that question is? It depends on who you ask.
Yeah,
Because
and you know what else?
if you ask the chief of police, Dallinger, Brett Payne found the sheath. If you ask Blacker, Sergeant Blacker, the Idaho State Police found the sheath. Now, where was the sheath
Here's
found?
the thing is,
Right?
I would have demanded early on, during the preliminary hearing, I would have demanded a list of the evidence lockers at both the MPD and the ISP to ensure that they had no custody of a sheath or a knife in a sheath, and if they did, were they present?
The chain of custody is a disaster.
That chain of custody I would be looking for. Look, it wouldn't be the chain of custody I was seeking. I want to know what their evidence room, if in the MPD and the state police, if their evidence lockers contain a knife sheath, a K-bar knife sheath with a sheath and a blade. Is there any registration of that stuff being taken by the cops from somewhere? In other words, I'd want to establish whether the police themselves had access to a sheath and a K-bar knife and placed it at the scene. I would have made those arguments right in the very beginning, piss anybody off in the world. Do you follow me?
Well,
That sheath is so inappropriately placed at the scene and so uninvolved that it's just insane.
and why didn't she challenge the chain of custody in limine or on suppression?
Because
That
she
was-
didn't
you
think
get
of it.
that sheet thrown out, you have no case. That's it. That's the only. That's what caused Judge to make the comment. Your client's DNA at the crime scene is probable cause every day of the week and twice on Sunday. What was he talking about? He's talking about the sheet,
Yeah, no, I know what he was talking about.
right? You get the sheet thrown out, and what do they got? What do they
Nothing.
got?
But in the preliminary hearing, if you would have challenged the fucking veracity of the sheath's existence at the crime scene against it being planted, I'd ask the court to please provide a warrant for the evidence lockers of the police department involved in this case. A historical one for the last 6 months. I want to see if they've apprehended anybody with a knife sheath and a K-bar. And if they did they still have possession of it? Or was it returned? Where's the paperwork on it? See, I would have automatically assumed initially as the lawyer that was planted. And I would have made that argument right from the start. That knife sheath is not part of the crime, sir. We contend that it was placed there by the officers involved. That's a hell of an accusation. Well, Your Honor, in order to understand that, we need warrants or subpoenas for the evidence locker rooms for these agencies for the last 6 months to see if they've ever came into possession of a K-bar knife and sheath. And if they did, where is it?
Well,
We need to know. I mean, but that wouldn't be an unreasonable ask, would it?
the most important subpoena
That White Claw.
would have to be for Brett Payne's pocket, because the first transfer, supposedly, of the sheath from the ISP, and it's from Detective Talbot, the head of ISP, turns over the sheath to Brett Payne at the crime scene. So I would want a subpoena for Brett Payne's pocket, his car, his trunk, because that's the first place that the sheath went.
Right.
Okay, and then
But I would question how it ever showed up there. And I also would have questioned, well, later on, how is it there's no transfer DNA of the victims that slept in a bed that's covered in dead skin cells?
Oh, don't even start with that. Oh my God, Sarge, please. Yeah, how about it?
Where do you lose all your skin, folks? Why do you think?
You got
Disgusting
one.
when you think about it.
You think about it. No, no, Sarge, think about it. If it was Maddie, Kaylee, Zana, Ethan, there should have been transfer DNA from Maddie on Kaylee, from Maddie and Kaylee on Zana, from Maddie, Kaylee, and Zana on Ethan, because they're telling us that this K bar, never been found, was
Right.
the weapon, and that was, where is that?
And the only mixed samples of blood you had are on the second level, and it's only between Kaylee and Maddie, which tells you for sure whatever weapon was used up there was downstairs. Or when you argued the dog did it, then there had to be no transfer from a weapon, right?
And the dog being, I mean, it just, we're back to where we started when we,
It should be an awesome case to
but
see if it gets to trial.
the dog being taken. I mean, look with just unjaundiced eyes at what these body cams are showing us. Don't even go beyond that. The dog who was supposedly in the house, this is an 8 hour, the perpetrator or perpetrator supposedly had a head start. And cops always say, if you don't get a person of interest or a suspect within 48 hours, the trail begins to go cold. So they're already assuming the state's, and we're going to play devil's advocate, state's theory is what we're going to go with. The perpetrators have already had an 8 hour start. You find a living animal in the house that might have DNA that
Even
you can't
longer than
even,
that.
you don't see it. He might have DNA on him. What are you doing taking him out? Why aren't you ensuring that the ISP has an opportunity to process him, to see if there's something on
The
him?
dog was retrieved from a kennel. That would have made what they did okay.
Yeah.
He was on the bed, wasn't he? Wasn't he on the bed?
Well, that's
Or under a desk?
seen the body cam. We've never seen the body cam. I don't understand why there's no victims in Kaylee's bedroom. Supposedly, when they walk up, I want to see Nunez's body cam from when he walked into Kaylee's room to see where that dog was. He's saying the dog was on the bed. Why? There's no victim in there. Why can't we see what that room looks like? Right? And then Sarge, just look at those hours. Idaho State Police, maybe they pulled up with their trailer because they were contacted at 12:22 per Detective Talbot. Number one report from the ISP. He is the head of crime. He is the one who doled out he told who was going to take photographs, who was going to process Zana's room, he was the head, he was in charge. And so it's 12:22. What are you doing leading the dog out at that time without even asking ISP? And ISP, even though they got there, I think it was before 2 o'clock, you don't see them going in the house because they didn't have.
Well, you know what would be the funniest thing in the world?
Huh?
You know what would be the funniest thing in the world? Is if all the footprints that were found on the common area that were the investigators, the trailing was from urine.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez.
Right? What if that's what it is?
I don't know. Sergeant Friday, they were in that house for from Nunez entered at 12 o'clock. And then they got the warrant. You see Nunez leaving to go get the warrant. He swears out the warrant. They give it to Marshall. They get the warrant. You see the warrant on the steps. Per Talbot, the five of them at 5 o'clock. It was Talbot. It was Payne. It was Blacker, and it was the two from the prosecutor's office, Thompson and Jennings, who did a walkthrough. And after that was at 5, and then they started processing afterwards. It would have been around 5:30. So from 1 o'clock in the afternoon until 5:30, you had all of these members of Moscow up and down and back and forth and go. How many people do you need in there to say that you have 4 bodies? And that there's no perpetrator in the house before you lock down that house and make sure that the crime scene doesn't get contaminated. You know, it's either you're the Keystone Cops on steroids, or they wanted to contaminate that crime scene. That's the only.
Well, the thing is that listen, that's where.
That's
where any evidence. Listen, any evidence obtained from that crime scene is tainted.
That's right.
I've said it 100 times. You don't. You don't send a fucking. A geologist, okay? You don't send a geologist to fucking look at your fucking cabinets, right? You just don't do that. You don't send someone in for microscopic data. Meanwhile, everybody else and their brother is running around with no protection.
Absolutely.
It's
You
insane.
saw
How do you collect microscopic data and can rely on it when nobody was prepared to find microscopic data?
Gunderson, who was the senior officer until Lanier and the other one, Dallinger, the two captains showed up. He was the senior officer. He's walking around with no gloves on. He's touching the banister up to the third floor where there was blood on that banister. He's walking in and out. He's taking the dog out. Who knows what he did in Kaylee's room? He's in charge. Okay, he's in charge. And then from there, you have Nunez, you got Warner. Okay, let's give Gunderson a pass because he was supposedly in charge. Why do you need Snyder going in there, going in and out, up and down, looking? Okay, he had to take photographs, whatever. But then you got Smith also walking in and out of that crime scene, and then you have Lanier walking in and out of that crime scene, and they're constantly going in and out. It's like either this was complete incompetence or, as I said, it was intentional. There's no other explanation for it. Once they saw they had 4 bodies, no one was in the house, that crime scene should have been locked down until ISP went in there and processed it to avoid transfer, to avoid DNA being dropped, DNA being taken.
It's funny that one of my major arguments in the beginning was that this case relies so heavily on transfer DNA that they're going to try to make that mainstream accessible. It's going to be because they're trying to make it acceptable in a court of law. Right. And that's exactly what you're seeing on some of these crime shows now, where they're going to use transfer DNA to identify the perpetrator, but they're not calling it that. They've termed it touch DNA, removing the concept that it can be transferred by another human being. This is the problem. That was, I said in the beginning, it was one of the goals of this case. You turn transfer DNA into touch DNA, and the description tells a story. Yeah. But you don't have to touch fucking anything for your DNA to be on there. And so the thing is, well, why would they call it touch DNA? Once that becomes, then that's what it is now. It's now going to become a standard statement in a court of law. And the defense is going to try to argue and show that touch DNA is no more than transfer DNA, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, they're calling it touch DNA, and so are their experts. You watch how many people get wrongfully convicted on that bullshit.
Sarge, this is my fear that this case is going to be a precedent. Do we really want this? Yeah. It's all of these people who, he's guilty, he's guilty, he's guilty. He has, no due process rights. He's guilty. They did the same thing with in Delphi. He was guilty. But if they're charged with a crime or their family members, they want their due process rights. Yep. They want to be deemed not guilty. They want the state to do their case is beyond a reasonable doubt. What is this wishy-washy?
That's why I try so hard.
Process, but you can't.
I try so hard to keep people from believing anything. Even though it's in a document that Dylan said this, it's not that you got to believe Dylan, but you have to accept that data for what it says. And if that's what the data is going to be used in court, then that's the data. Now, can you show that data doesn't represent the truth? Of course you can. In cases, not everywhere, but in some cases you can. But until you can make that step in that direction, then that's the evidence that you have. And to believe in who did it and when they did it and where they came from and who they're connected to, it's all about belief. You believe Koberger did it, and any fucking white car they show you, you'll say is Brian's. Because you bought their story. You didn't think about a fucking thing. You believe that it's accurate. They do that in politics to us all the time.
And with Payne had unless Payne was there, Payne had no business changing her testimony when it suited him. He said, he was the one that said, but it could have been Zana who said something, who said, right. There's someone here. And it was Payne who identified Koberger from his license plate that he had bushy eyebrows. How does he know what? And Dylan never said
even that. Look at even if you take Payne. Here's the problem. If you accept what Payne is saying, okay? The problem with that is that means there was somebody in the bedroom that already killed Ethan. And now you have to explain that. How did he proceed? How did he precede her to the room? If you're going to argue someone chased Zana down the hallway wielding a knife, you have to then explain how that knife-wielding maniac attacking a young woman does not get attacked by the fucking guy in the bed who has no debris, no sign, nothing on his feet to show that he ever moved from the bed. You can't have it both fucking ways. Either this kid was killed independently of Zana, Okay? Or he sat and watched, and the bag of chips in that room was what he was eating while you were murdering his girlfriend, not realizing when you were done with her you were going to kill him. It's just ridiculous. It just can't make sense because it's nonsensical.
Right.
Whether Zana was the one that ran to the bathroom or Zana was chased down the hallway, as Whitcomb and these others keep pointing out, it makes no sense. And this is why I wanted to talk with with Whitcomb, and I tried going through the custody queens. Because when you point this stuff out, and it's not being pointed out by a lot of people, they're just, well, there had to be two, and they just believe something, but they don't really think it through.
Think it through. You don't need.
How do you
don't
explain
need to get it from, Sarge, you don't need to get it from Wickham. Think it through. Argue it.
No, I know. I think it through myself, but
are.
I think that these guys are, they're on a level of intelligence and a familiarity with the stuff that's going on where I'm not. I'm just a pretty smart guy, I guess. And things got to be able to be broken down to the simple.
Right.
I mean, even Einstein's equations, Einstein's theory of relativity, folks, is only an explanation of where you are in relation to what's moving. That's all it is. Your relationship relative to what is in motion. That's all it is. And it's fucking common sense when you think about it. I mean, everybody makes it look, oh, Einstein, but it's a ridiculous fucking thing he's telling you. It literally is. When you read what he put forward and just think about it for a minute, you're like, oh. So if a guy is on a train going 6,000 miles an hour, and I'm standing at a fucking train station and watch him go by, a guy going 4,000 miles an hour sees the movement of his train differently than I see it. It's all relative.
No, I know.
Right? And so this is what I mean. Things can be made simple. How do you understand? How do you explain just Zana's room without having to have common sense stuck in there? Look, he had to be killed first. If he was killed first, then Zana didn't run from a murderer, and if she was running from a murderer, she ran into another murderer that was already in her fucking room. That's the only way you can explain that. If she didn't run from a murderer, but was in her room, then how do you explain the blood on the outside of the room and on the door? How do you explain a murderer killing her first? Because to get to Ethan, you had to go through Zana if she was in that room. And the locations of the deceased don't allow for that. You can't get to fucking Ethan before you get through Zana. If you're a murderous person. And you went into that room. And that's obvious based on the locations of the bodies. So how do you explain this? And the bottom line is that there's no way to make sense of it. Unless you change the story of a single perpetrator. Whitcomb is pointing out that the shoulder height mark of blood on the wall that's Xana's is where the whole case falls apart. And I'm trying to sort out what he's saying. But everybody spends all this time thinking that was the drugs and the Pennsylvania sorority, it was the boyfriend, I mean, you listen to all these other streams and all these theories of who did it. But that does not fucking explain the crime scene who did it. And that's really the whole point of why I stream, is to try to sort through it and come up with some understandings that make sense. And not just because I think they make sense, but because it's, regardless if they were killed for drugs or they were confident, I don't care why they were killed. But how do you support that crime scene with a one perpetrator argument? How did Brian Koberger chase Kaylee down the hallway into her room and kill her with Ethan there? Don't tell me the guy was asleep. That's just not credible. He was snorting Adderall, for fuck's sakes. He was laying there naked hoping to get laid. He was asleep? You can't make that argument stand. Anybody with the right mind would see that doesn't make sense. What would make sense? Ethan killed first, Xana killed second. And I think the same thing applies to the upstairs. I think that it's fair to suspect that Dylan was accurate when she said Kaylee yelled, "Someone's here." And even if Xana was the one to yell it, Ethan already had to be dead by the time. I think Ethan was dead before Xana ever came home. I don't think those two people came home alone. And I think that's the main reason why they will not tell you where they were. That's the main reason we don't know when they got home, because we're talking about they got home, and I'm telling you, I suspect it was not they. It was Ethan and then Kaylee, and then Xana. I don't think there's any way you can argue they came home together. I can't accept that theory at all.
From the beginning, Sarge, they had been so sneaky and ambiguous regarding the whereabouts of two of the four victims,
Yep,
Xana
and they
and
still are.
Ethan. If you think back, look back, go back. They're still online. Do your own research, but look at the press releases from the very beginning of the case, and it will tell you that Xana and Ethan were at the Sigma Chi at 9 o'clock. And then the next thing that they say, and then they returned home at 1:45 a.m. at 1122 King Road, which we know is false. What about in between? They told you in between of where Kaylee and Madison were, but not Sana and Ethan. And why not in the PCA, right in some of the details that we found out through discovery being finally unsealed and through certain witness interviews that have been obtained through a public records request that they're what they probably stop where they stop off at the what, how long were they there for? Now we're hearing that somebody might have been at 11:22 at 3:30 with Ethan, and what they knew exactly, just like they could track supposedly Koberger every step of the way. They could track Ethan and they could track Xana. Why are they hiding it? Why are they hiding? Why are they fighting so hard?
I'm telling you why they're hiding it. They're hiding it because
Sure
those two people,
why?
they entered the residence at different times. And she walked into a room where Ethan was already killed. And or at knife fight, under duress, until she got him. You cannot explain the murder in that one room in the way that they claim that murder took place. It's so fucking obnoxious. It's like saying that we created fucking airplanes before fire. It's fucking ridiculous. It can't be that way.
And
airplanes depend on a combustion engine, which is a form of fire. You can't have one before the other. Everything has to lead up in a systematic process to get to a solution or get to an end point.
Exactly. And at this point, it's almost 4 years since these crimes occurred. And so many millions of people believe exactly what they were told by mainstream media.
100%.
Refuse to open up that the court docket is there. You don't even have to pay for it. I had someone today who's trying to argue with me that the post-conviction relief action is criminal, as if Brian Koberger could bring a criminal action against the state of Idaho. It is not criminal. It is civil. They just won't even do. You give them they won't look at the docket. You ask them to cite to the docket because they know
that's the people.
and they start getting.
We've been educated to believe the people in this
with these
country
false
are fucking
rumors and
retarded.
theories, focus on, like you're saying, look at what I don't know of anyone that's doing this, Sarge, as you are. Let's look at the crime scene. Let's put on our thinking caps
I
here.
want to say to the people,
What's it say?
there's 92 people in the chat room. Can you guys that haven't hit like? I'm at 89 likes.
Hit the like, guys.
And I've been working for 3 hours and 45 minutes for 89 likes. I could slap 89 the way it is, but 100 might be a ship too far for me.
100 gets you into the algorithm, and sub to his channel. Sub to his channel, it helps him too. But the crime scene, Sarge, keep working on that.
Crime scene is everything. The crime scene is a whole story. And they will not tell you who did it, and I don't care who did it at this point. That's not the argument that we're facing. We are always facing an American citizen charged with a horrific quadruple homicide, and the processes and the presentation of the information they collected during what they did. Does that add up to this man being beyond a reasonable doubt? And the answer, I think, is no. Did he do it? I don't fucking know.
I agree with you.
I don't know. And I don't care.
When we're going to be in a position to be able. I mean, I've had my theories based on facts that I cite too. But I'm not going to be able to kind of look at anything and come to some type of a conclusion like I was on a jury until they unseal the entire case, which they're refusing to do. It's a year plus since he was sentenced. They have refused to unseal the case. They're fighting tooth and nail EWU in the other case. And you got to ask yourself why. If they're so confident in their case, they should be able to have it all out in the open now. They should have never. This case was run like it was Fort Knox, like it was the Inquisition into the JFK assassination, like it was some type of a national security matter. This was a state unaliving case. Does it make sense to you that still so much of it is under seal? Until it is unsealed, you get to look at all of the evidence. We're not going to be able to know who did it. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that you could look at the crime
Yeah, we're not
scene
going to know.
and say and make some conclusions based on evidence that there is no way one person did this, whether it was Koberger or it was anyone else. There's no way one person did this in the time frame that they said. It is not possible. It's not possible.
It's not possible. It's not even likely. And who even knows? He's the first and gone before us. And I got home at 2:30 screen. Yep, well, we'll have to see. I think that when you look at the crime scene, as we're going to keep doing on my stream, and I'm going to try to make them shorter. This has been a long ass stream. Um, I think we'll get at least, if not answers, we'll at least present an unarguable case of reasonable doubt. Because this case is so full of it that it makes people ill just to look at it.
Yes,
And,
that's the bottom line. 96. Come on, 4 more people, get him to 100, and it'll get his
yeah, I think
content
actually
out
what
there.
happens, I'll get more likes as coming after the stream.
Oh, you definitely will, but
I get the reviews.
One final
There's
word
people that do
before I go, Sarge. It is the bottom line is there evidence here beyond a reasonable doubt to convict? That is all. He doesn't have to sit here and proclaim his innocence. It's how our country was set up, and there's a good reason why. Just when you're looking at it, look at the documents, look at the evidence, and let the evidence lead you to where it leads you. I mean, it's great to have theories. It's great to, oh, well, this, because Josh Hurwitz was involved and he's a former U.S. attorney, then he had you need evidence in a court of law. And a lot of that stuff that was on the Dateline special probably would not have been able to make its way into a court of law, because there's a lot of exceptions to letting that type of information in. But you do your own research. Don't let anyone else tell you. And everyone sitting here that listens to this on replay or here tonight, you could have been on that jury, and you have the capability. We got to stop with these wild theories and everything else, because this has been 4 years. We got to have some sort of
one more like,
Sarge.
We need one more like out here. One more like.
Oh,
I'm at
99. Come on. 99 luck balloons.
Hit 100.
Sarge, you got 99 luck
hit 100
balloons.
so I can just shut up and go to bed.
Sarge is
100. Who was the last one?
Come on, guys.
But I just got my like. Who gave the last like? Thank you very much.
You got 100. Congratulations,
That's awesome.
Sarge.
Listen,
Here's hoping you get a couple
I
hundred,
appreciate
thousands, whatever.
Well, yeah, the streams do pretty good after I hang up. So, in any event, it was good having you up here, Kat.
My
good night
pleasure,
to you and to
as
the
always,
audience.
Sarge. And I want to thank
We'll be back
Kane and
again
everybody
sooner or
who
later.
participated.
Twist says everybody on the line now. I'll talk with you again.
Thank you, everyone. Good night, everybody. Have a great evening.
I had to kick her too because I've kicked everybody else and it just wouldn't be fair. I'm nothing. You got to admit I'm fair and I'm balanced. Twiz, I'm going to give him a kick. Good night, kiss me. I've been here for I know it. I got to go. I can't take it anymore.